shot of redemption. Don't wanna end up a cartoon graveyard. Bone digger, dogs in the moonlight. Far away, my wedding door. Mr. Beer Belly, get these rocks away from me, you know. I don't find this stuff amusing anymore. If you be my bodyguard, I can be your long lost pal. And I can call you Betty, and Betty, when you call me, you can call me out. Man walks down the street, says, why am I short of attention? Got a short little span of attention now. Oh, my life is so long. Where's my wife and family? What if I die here? Who'll be my role model? Now that my role model is gone. He jumped down the alleyway with some roly-poly little bat-faced girl. All along, there were incidents and accidents. There were hits and allegations. If you be my bodyguard, I can be your long-lost pal. I can call you Betty, and Betty, if you call me, you can call me out. Call me out. Man walks down the street in a strange world. Maybe it's the third world. Maybe it's his first time around. Doesn't speak the language, holds no currency. He is a foreign man. He is surrounded by the sound. Cattle in the marketplace, scatterings and orphanages.
Snap, kick is up and good, and Hawaii has done it.
Unbelievable, gritty performance by Mike Alejado, setting up his kicker. Stanford thought they had it in the bag, but the true redshirt freshman quarterback, the golden boy, got Hawaii the win today.
All right, folks. Week 0 kicked off college football here in 2025 with a shocking loss for Stanford, losing to Hawaii on a last-minute field goal that was made by a guy who basically picked up kicking field goals over in Tokyo. On a trip to the United States, he started watching football, so he decided to record them and became a place kicker for Hawaii, and he beat Stanford on Saturday. So congratulations on that. Welcome to the show. We have a big show tonight. That's why we're starting at 7 o'clock tonight, because it is week 1, and everybody and their brother has been dying for this since, what, February?
Yeah, that's about right, Chris.
Yeah, February was the when the schedules came out, and we knew that this weekend was Bama and Florida State and LSU and the Battle of Tigers. But we're also going to talk about the other Tiger, Towson Tigers. They'll be taking on some Spartans down in Norfolk this weekend, this Thursday.
Which will be televised on ESPN.
Yep. And we'll be talking about Notre Dame taking on the Irish, taking on Miami. My brother will be watching that game on Sunday night. Canes trying to get back to being where they were at this time last year with a rental quarterback. So that's a very interesting thing there. So let's get ready for week 1 here. Let's play a clip of this is for the hype for LSU this year, because I know they're trying to come in on a good note this year, but the last couple of years they had a really bad opening weekend. So let's just play a little clip we found here on the YouTube people. So here it is.
It's too long to unload. Clock is going to expire on the jump ball, and it's intercepted in the end zone anyway. And Mississippi State has pulled off an upset on the road and picked off the defending national champion.
Travis from the pocket, long loop and throw, and they're down again. Keelan Coleman has a hat trick in his first game of Florida State.
Woody Marks might make it a moot point, and he does. Talk about all the field goals, and Woody Marks rumbles into the end zone, and USC is on top with 8 seconds to play.
We're sitting here again talking about the same things.
Jared Nussmeier announces that he is returning to LSU for 2025. He will play 5th season in Baton Rouge.
We know our roster. This is the best roster that we've put together.
I'm back.
that was not bad.
Chris, I think, LSU's got a shot to,
Yeah.
they can have a good start to the season.
Well, we hope so.
They could have a good shot to bring home a natty in football, just like they did with baseball. So it's like,
well, we have this guy who normally we get him on and talk about his softball team.
yeah, but it's like he likes my hat.
So, tonight we're gonna have a little special with him. Normally we have him on and talk about his softball team in Mercer University. He used to be at UMBC, but he's one of the diehard LSU fans that we know. And Adam, you want to welcome him in?
Yeah, sure. So, folks, I imagine Saturday night in prime time, LSU. It's the Battle of Tigers. LSU roams from Louisiana to Clemson to take on Cade Klubnik and the Clemson Tigers. Well, I know this guy's going to be watching. And I know who he's pulling for. So let's welcome in, the number one LSU Tiger fan that we know. He is the head coach of Mercer University softball. It's Chris Kohlmeyer. So, Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And what are some of the keys that you'll be looking out for as LSU travels to Clemson in this prime time showdown on ABC?
Okay, one, talking about the same thing again, over and over again. Brian Kelly.
I did that last week. You
played it. I had to do it. I know. To do it. Like, that was a knife to the heart. So, Chris.
Yes.
I was in that end zone at that in the Superdome
a
few years ago when FSU beat them and couldn't block the freaking A-gap twice when we should have won that game against FSU. We can't block the A-gap. I was sitting right there to the left. I was in that clip somewhere.
Okay. I got to look. Let me try to focus on it tonight. I'll try to see if I can zoom in on it on my
knife to the heart. It's okay. I saw my boys. It's okay. I'm going to forgive you on it. No, it's great to be on with you guys. I love it. I am so excited for week one. LSU Clemson, the battle for the real Death Valley, which resides in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The fake one is in Clemson, South Carolina. Let's make sure we understand that very, very clearly. Guys, listen, I'm worried, actually, to be honest with you. I love my Tigers, and I think we probably have more weapons than anybody in the country on the offense. We probably have better running back depth. We have better wide receiver depth. We have a quarterback. If we can get past this game and have a great year, he's going to win his Heisman. It's going to be the third LSU quarterback to win the Heisman this year. That's my bold prediction, boys.
Yeah.
Prediction.
Well, Coach, it's funny. I was looking at Brian Kelly, and I didn't realize in Brian Kelly's big games, he has a 500 record. I thought it was a little bit less than that because I know over his time at Notre Dame, he was stunk up. He got his butt kicked in South Florida by Miami. The year before he came to you guys. And then when he played against Florida State, when Florida State was Florida State, we pulverized them. So it's basically he's 500 in big games, and I guess this is a big game because if you win this one. With this whole new college football playoff, the 12 teams, and now with this new, I guess the best team gets better records and whatever. I couldn't understand it the other day when I was listening to it on the radio. I got to, go into it deep in, whatever. But they're trying to penalize teams that, like, if you lose to let's say Towson, you get penalized for that. It's like, seriously? Yeah. Like, wow, that's that. And to me, nothing against Towson, our friends here in Towson, the other Tigers, nothing wrong with them. But, it's fascinating that now with this college football playoff, you have to win these big games that actually help you get up in the standings when it comes October.
Yeah, no, this game is crazy that if you lose this game, you might as well forget it.
Right.
And you got to go undefeated the rest of the year if you don't win this game. Yeah. I mean, even in the SEC, you got to go undefeated. You maybe can lose a random Auburn and Alabama, but you better not lose another one all year. So this game is like, September whatever is like the most important game of the year, for the season. It's wild, but it is what it is. If you're going to compete and be in one of those 12 spots for the playoff, you gotta beat everybody that's in front of you, and that's starting off with Clemson. Like, I am so sick and tired of hearing this stuff. Like not winning this first game. We haven't won once since Joe Burrow's, first year, that national championship year in 2019.
Right.
Like we put ourselves out there more than any other team in the country in this, lead-off kickoff games, and we're not winning them. So right. We have to get off to a good start. And I'll give, BK credit for this. BK hasn't stepped up in a lot of the big games, but I'll give him credit for something. BK has done a great job in the transfer portal this year. Has brought in an insane amount of talent, especially in the defensive backfield, on the line and everything. So, we'll see how it gels up, going to Clemson right off the bat. That's tough, but we'll see how it gels. But I'm pretty excited. If they can all gel up and do well that first game, we can get past this first game. Boys, we're going to win a natty.
Yeah, that's true. Because I think your schedule is not that, except for you play Alabama, middle of middle October, early November. But more or less, you got Florida still on your schedule. I think you play Tennessee too.
Maybe I don't have the schedule.
I can't remember. Let me pull it up.
I can't remember, but that's the thing. Like this year with the SEC is going to be very even keeled. Like I guess kind of like last year, Vanderbilt came out of nowhere, beat some teams. Ole Miss was a world beater, but then couldn't beat, all of a sudden couldn't win a few games here and there. Mm-hmm. I think even Mississippi State's going to jump up this year, and not be one of the worst 5 teams in the country. Mississippi State's going to jump up this year and be even more talented.
Right.
Give some people, give people a hard time this year. The SEC is going to be deeper. It's back. All those people that were last year talking about, the SEC's down. It's like it's not the best, conference in the country. And it wasn't last year. The Big Ten was the best one. I'll give it credit. Big Ten was the best conference in the country last year. This year, not the case. SEC's back.
Mm-hmm. Well, looking at the schedule. Go ahead, Adam.
I do have to ask you, Coach, what's your initial reaction on the SEC going to non-conference games starting next year?
About time. You know what? Everybody was complaining about it, and they can complain, but I love it. And I love the fact that they have to force, every SEC team to put themselves out there, play 9 games, which is the best conference in the country. Everybody's complaining about, you're only playing 8th and you get 2 cream puffs or whatever. Yeah, but you don't have to go through a conference schedule like we do in the SEC. So bringing in, going to 9 and then having one permanent, you got to get a Power 4 conference opponent, as one of those games. I think it's great. It's fantastic. It's going to shut everybody up, and it's going to permanently put 4 to 5 SEC teams every year, maybe even 6 in the college football playoff every single year. The Big Ten and the ACC complain about it, and the Big 12 complain about it. Well, you're going to get your wish. You're going to get outran by the SEC now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just looking at your schedule for LSU. You do play Florida at home on the 13th. That's 7:30. That's prime time. You got Ole Miss. Ole Miss doesn't have Jackson Dart anymore, so I don't even know if Ole Miss has a quarterback that's actually pretty decent. Because I saw Jackson Dart last year at Wake Forest, and he reminded me of a Brett Favre type quarterback, like a gunslinger. Yeah, he didn't care if you threw it up there, you'll catch it. South Carolina, that might be a little tough because that's they look like they're loaded in South Carolina.
Yeah, but that's not in South Carolina. That's in Tiger
that's
State.
down you guys.
Last year, we got lucky last year. I will say that we got lucky. Like South Carolina, played not to lose, and the refs helped us out last year. So we're playing that in Death Valley. We're all right.
Yeah, exactly. Adam, you have one more for him before
sure.
we
So we all know that Garrett Nussmeier had a really good year last year. So what are your anticipations with him as LSU's starting quarterback?
He's winning the Heisman.
Okay.
That's my bold prediction this year. He's winning the Heisman. Right. He's going to start if we can get literally if the offensive line. So here's my one worry. Okay. We can go toe to toe with anybody in the country. We can go toe to toe with Clemson, with all their NFL top, 3-round draft picks on the defensive line and a linebacker in the backfield, all that. We can go toe to toe with those guys in everything. We can't right now, the one question mark is the offensive line. We essentially have 5 new starters on the offensive line.
Yes.
We got one returner who's moving from center to another position. So we got to see how that gels. If that gels, keep Nussmeier upright, we actually run the ball. I'm telling you guys, Nussmeier's win is going to be the 3rd LSU quarterback to win a Heisman since 2019. It's going to happen.
Okay.
If not, we just got to see how that offensive line gels in Clemson. If we can gel it in Clemson right off the bat, keep him upright and let him do what he does, let Nuss cook, it's going to be a great year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's funny, Coach. These 2 schools have never played each other in a regular season.
Why?
It's all been bowl games. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's like you think these guys would have been playing in the 70s against each other or the 80s, but it's like they play in bowl games. So this is a true, actually, regular season game that we don't have to wait till January, down in New Orleans or anything. It's actually a real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's pretty awesome. This is what I love about how the new face of college football is. We get to kick off the season with a cool opponent, with a great quality opponent like Clemson. This is a national champ. It could be a national championship preview, guys. Who knows?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Could be if one of us wins, whoever wins this game, the season's not dead. Yeah. I mean, it puts them in the back. It puts them, puts some brakes on it a little bit, but they run the table. They can get to their conference championship game. They're going to be back in the playoff. This could be a championship preview. So, and it's pretty cool to see a team like Clemson come in who, their coach, as hard-headed as he may be, didn't buy into the transfer portal stuff. He's been building for this year and seeing what kind of talent they have on offense, especially on defense. Defense is crazy insane. It's kind of cool to see this, this kind of matchup early on in the season. It's the best matchup for week 1 this year by far. And, it's going to be a great game, guys. I think it's going to come down to the wire, and hopefully my Tigers, the real version of the Tigers can pull it out, and see how the rest of the season goes. But, yeah, it's going to be great. I think, it was funny. I got to see them as, talking about bowl games. When I was in college back in 96 or 97, I got to see them play each other in the Peach Bowl before Chick-fil-A took it over, right? It was still the original Peach Bowl. So the year before Chick-fil-A took it over, that I got to see them play each other. That was the last time I saw Clemson in person. So it was kind of neat. So I'm, games like this is great. I'm excited to see the kick off the season like this and get, week 1's here. And, we had a great week 0. Last week was great drama, with Stanford and Hawaii and Farmageddon. Great drama. And it's going to be a great season, boys.
Yep, it's going to be great. And it kicks off on Saturday, and you guys are at 7:30 right after Florida State and Alabama. So that's going to be a great day of football, pretty much. So
I mean, folks, get your snacks, get your drinks, and just, be prepared to just be don't call me, don't text me, don't message me, don't do anything. It's called, I'm not available Saturday.
I will be. So, and cheers, boys. I got, good glass of bourbon on tonight.
There you go.
But I will actually be in Pennsylvania, helping my girlfriend move from Pennsylvania to Boston on that weekend. So I'm making sure that we have a spot when the Florida State Alabama game happens, and then the LSU Clemson game happens. So I can make sure I'm in front of the TV for both games. I have a deep ties to Florida State as well, and I think I might have told you before. My uncle played, went there and everything. He played practice squad for old Bobby Bowden and everything. So I got ties there too. So I want to make sure see that FSU game. Hopefully they beat, there in Alabama. I have no love for those guys. Hopefully they can bury it early and knock themselves out. Great to see. All that jazz. So it's going to be a weekend, guys. Looking forward to it. And then it's going to be, this is going to be one of the best seasons of college football yet. I'm looking forward to it.
Exactly. Hey, you're like me. I have my niece's birthday party, so I told my brother, I'm only going to be there for 2 hours.
He goes, I was going to be there for 2 hours, but she would kill me if I was going to say that.
I'm going to make an appearance, get some food, and go out.
I wish that was happening. I'm like, we're not in a moving truck and we're sitting in front of a TV in a hotel or a house somewhere, whatever it is that I'm, whatever it is, I'm going to make sure that we're stopped so I can watch that game, watch the FSU game, and then watch the LSU game uninterrupted. Don't bother me. Just get me in front of a TV somewhere.
Nice. Have some lobster while you're up there in Boston, Coach.
Oh no, it's going to happen, buddy.
Oh, thank you. As a New Englander, I do have to. As a New Englander, we know good lobster. So it's like, So have some lobster for me and Chris.
I will do that, buddy. I already missed my crab. I missed the crab in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I tried to imitate it down here myself, not working. I love my seafood down here in the South. So I've got my,
you do.
I miss my crab cakes, but I'm going to tell you, I'm making sure I get at least 1 or 2 good lobster rolls while I'm up in the Northeast.
I
can get my fill before I get out of there.
That's awesome. All right, Coach. Safe travels to Boston. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Hey, always a pleasure, fellas. You have a great evening. All right, by the way, I'm excited y'all have Chris Blair on after this. Here in a couple of segments. He is like one of the best there is. Yes, he actually replaced one of my legends, Jim Hawthorne, who was from my hometown of Louisiana.
Yes, Jim Hawthorne. Oh,
he replaced he's from my hometown.
Nice.
And Chris Blair is the absolute best. I love listening to LSU football on the radio and turn the TV down and be able to hear him call the game. So he's awesome. You're gonna have a great segment with that guy.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
We can't wait. All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on. Enjoy the weekend. Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day, guys. I'll see y'all later.
Hey, Coach.
Bye. All right, that's our good friend Chris.
All right, Chris.
That's a great segment right there. So what's
Chris, can I bring in my?
Yes, bring in your. We got an Ohio State fan here on the show tonight. It's okay.
No. Hold on. It's called folks. Our next guest is someone that I have known on Twitter for over a year. She eats, sleeps, and breathes Ohio State football. In fact, she works at Ohio State. She, her daughter was in the best damn band in the land, aka the Ohio State Marching Band, and they were in Atlanta last year to see Ohio State win the national championship, and she will be this Saturday at the shoe to see number 1 Texas with that quarterback who has the last name of Manning take on a sensational freshman quarterback named Julian Sayin and the Ohio State Buckeyes. So joining us now is one of my good friends. She is the co-host of the Ladies of College Football, which I was on her show last night. So
yes,
please welcome my good friend Dorian Moore. So
thank you, Chris and Adam.
Yes,
thanks for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
so just talk about being in Atlanta last year for the national championship game.
You ready?
It was awesome. It was the best money you can spend, and believe me, we spent a lot. But it was awesome. It was my daughter's last game. performing, and she was one of the last of the 6 years because of the COVID year. So she's one of the only few that can claim having a pair of gold pants and also a natty ring. So she bookmarked it that way. Her freshman year, they got the gold pants in 2019, and then 2024 she left with a natty ring, and it's beautiful. So I was very proud of her. But now she's on to grad school. I think this week she's starting law school. So it's not over yet, but her band career is.
Cool. Well, we got number 1 versus number 3. If you want to say Penn State should be, I don't know why Penn State's number 2. I'm not buying on Notre Dame on Penn State right now because they got a cakewalk schedule if they play Oregon. It's like they're going to blow out Nevada. They're going to blow out Villanova. No offense, we had the coach on a couple of weeks ago, a good friend of ours. And then their first real test is Oregon when they lost to Oregon last year. So to me, I feel like we'll see what they look like after the Oregon game. So
because they are very considering the year 2023 Michigan, forget about the asterisk stuff. I'm just going to talk straight football here, where they came back with all the veterans and they won a natty. We kind of did the same thing, and we got back the veterans. Oh, someone else is here too.
Yeah, Matt. Go ahead.
And so hey, and so I think that's the formula. If you can get people to stay, not go to the NFL, if their Drew Aller can actually play in the big games and do the big plays, and if Franklin cannot Franklin, I think they have a really good chance to make it. So I don't know. What do you think, Chris? I mean,
well, I think we'll see. I think all it boils down to when Penn State has to travel to Ohio State this year.
Yeah.
And I think that will be a true test for the Big Ten. Because I think, and Matt, you probably agree with me too. The only game that might give Penn State trouble is that Oregon game, at home, that whiteout game. Because Oregon's a little bit different than the traditional Big Ten schools, and they played Oregon last year, and I think they lost to them, right, Matt?
Well, yeah, they lost to them on the last second. They could have, I think, got a field goal, but they didn't. But they didn't.
Right.
So basically, I feel like that if that game in Columbus will be on we have our good friend Rob Stone joining us shortly. That'll be another big noon kickoff, and I know there's a lawmaker there in Ohio is trying to like
it won't happen.
Ohio State for playing noon games. Well,
it won't happen because Fox owns Big Noon, and we get the ratings. And so I think Penn State is going to be. I think it's going to be a blackout they want it to be, but it's going to be during the day. So this week it's going to be scarlet out, although I work and I have to wear a white polo, so it doesn't matter for me. I'm a red coat, so I'm there with the white polo with Ohio State. I'm like customer service.
Nice.
For anyone that needs anything. And so we have a uniform. So unfortunately, I can't go, girl.
Darlene, where did you work? Because Matt and I went to the Horseshoe a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
when Maryland played Ohio State, and Matt and I have a little story to tell. It was funny. Matt was on the field beginning of the game until like halftime, right, bud? And then all of a sudden they stopped you in the third quarter because they thought you were part of Michigan or something, or because of the sign stealing stuff going on, because they didn't even know who you were. Right,
no way.
That's
not true. It was one of the ushers. I'm not an usher, so I won't be in the shoe. I do everything outside the shoe. Like I'm going to be at the skull session. So if you're there for the skull session, I'm actually going to be at St. John.
So Matt, you remember that you were like stuck in the third quarter, couldn't get down on the field because they didn't know who you were, and I'm like, what? Remember that? Tell Doreen the story real quick.
Yes.
What happened? Tell her the story.
What happened?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. All I'm going to say is that I enjoyed my time at Ohio State. I'm glad that they allowed us, Chris and I, to both be there at the event. I'm grateful and appreciative of that. And I hope that we get to go again. And that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, come on!
I won't say anything.
Man, she's not going to report you to the.
I will not. I will not.
Now,
Chris,
now take my word for it. It's called.
Chris, you can tell the story.
Okay.
I mean, but the thing is that I'm just. The thing is that we are on air, and the thing is that again, I'm appreciative of Ohio State's hospitality and them allowing us the opportunity to do that, because we've never been at Columbus. Chris and I have never been there,
Yeah.
and it was a phenomenal place. And so I
Good.
really am appreciative of us getting that opportunity to get media credentials to see them play in the shoe.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
And
we'll get there in 2027.
Chris, honestly, to me, what happened, it is what it is.
I know,
I
but
mean,
it was ironic. It was like with the stuff going on with Michigan and all that stuff. We were trying to figure out why were you stopped to going down there, and then you and I like later in the year realized we put our finger two and two our heads together. Like, wait a minute, it's that Michigan thing happened that week, and everybody didn't know what the heck was going on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so
That would
that's
probably make sense.
And I know Matt, you're not stealing signs. Seriously, are you going to be running?
No,
Yeah, I know.
it's called
Come on.
now, Matt. It's called.
here's the thing, Chris.
Yeah.
If I was doing that, then maybe I should leave my daytime job and be a millionaire.
Hey, you might get a show penalty by the NCAA. NCAA, you may not be allowed to be in for 4 years. Like really? Like Jim Harbaugh got like an 8-year suspension for. He's not coming back to college. People.
He's
like
not.
give it a break. Give it a rest. Yeah, seriously.
I just think everyone needs to move on. Don't you think? I mean, as a Buckeye, I'm just like, let's just move on. That happened in 2023.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, it happened. We watched them win the Natty. They didn't need to cheat. They cheated. It's okay. It's time. NCAA didn't think anything of it. And why are we wasting our mental space worrying about it? That's me. That's me. So
yeah, I think I think it was just a waste. I think it was just people didn't know who he was, and and I think a lot of people at that time was like scared of people stealing signs or stealing whatever, and they were just being precautionary. But Matt, you're an innocent man, so you shouldn't be stealing anything anyway.
Oh, are you Michigan man? Are you really a Michigan man?
Oh no.
Okay.
He likes the Irish.
No, I am a Roll Tide fan. I am a huge Alabama fan, and I'm a huge Georgia fan as well. And what Michigan, because that was Alabama's game. Okay, I don't know how in the world they came back from 10 to win. Well, yeah, they cheated. And the thing is this: why can't you play with honesty and integrity? Okay, why can you not do that? I mean, and then when there's all this rumors about you, about all this, all that, because I know of people that are Michigan fans, and they are in such denial, I'll say, because they're like, oh, well, they have no evidence. I'm like, oh, yeah, they do have evidence of it. It's like, and it's just crazy. The thing is, here's the thing. Why not go ahead and just show honor, integrity? That is much greater than, oh, now we're going to cheat. Now we're going to do whatever we can to steal signs to win a national championship. And, who knows when you're going to win the next one. But the thing is, if that's the way you have to win a natty, then I feel sorry for you, because, Alabama Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs with Kirby Smart do not. Well, I know Nick Saban's retired now, and Alabama's a totally different team. But Nick Saban never did any of that kind of stuff, and Kirby Smart with Georgia never has done any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's like now for you. Now I can say this to you, Matt. I have known Doreen for a little over a year, and the way, for you folks, wondering how I actually got to know Doreen is thanks through Twitter. And if you know about a thing called Twitter Spaces, there is one that Doreen and I do on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's called Football Foreplay.
Yes, I'm a listener.
Yes, you are a listener, and it's called so it's called Doreen and I have a lot of friends, that we interact with on that show, and it's a lot of fun. It's it's an absolute blast, and I know Doreen is her co-host. Minnie Hunt is a huge Nebraska Cornhuskers fan.
She is.
And for you to just talk about what you and Minnie do on Sunday nights regarding the ladies of college football?
Well, we just started. Mark Rogers from the Voice of College Football had actually hired Minnie, and he wanted to do something at Sunday evenings. So she brainstormed, and she just saw me in chats. Like I call myself a full-time podcaster. I listen to everything under the sun.
Yep.
I do, right? And so, and I'm on X, and I love to promote good product. And she's seen me, and she actually DM'd me on X, and she said, "Hey, my name's Minnie Hunt." She told me her background. And at first I thought, I'm not sure if I want to put myself out there, but my husband, who I've been married to for well over 3 decades, said, "You really should do it. I think you can do it." So here I am. And I think we've done like 7 shows, and so far so good. I've got my friends from the spaces, just like Adam says, and I'm really active on Menace to Sports, and that's with Zach Smith and Pat Cahill and Chris Drew. And along with Bucknuts and, a lot of Buckeyes, Buckeye Huddle. And I love it. And I love it. And I've met them. And I've met a lot of the people. And so here I am. And I'm talking football. Like I said, I don't know a bunch of X's and O's, but I do know people on the teams. And I've met quite a few of the players and the coaches. And I'm a huge fan, but I also believe in my Buckeyes. I'm not scared about this Saturday, though. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I'm not scared. I'm not. It's called.
Are you, Adam? I mean, I don't. Well, you think we're going to win?
Yeah, Doran. It's called. It's called. You know who I'm picking to win on Saturday.
I know who you're picking to win.
Well, who are you picking, Adam?
It's called. I'm going with Ohio State.
He's going with Ohio State.
I mean,
well, okay. So I mean, I was going with Ohio State.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be a very close game.
Yes.
You have Steve Sarkisian, a.k.a. the Sark, who is one of Nick Saban's disciples. and so he has really grown that Texas team big time. I think it's going to be a high-power game. It could be I say 38-35 outcome. Buckeyes win. Or it could be another way. Texas wins. I mean, I honestly think it's a 50-50 toss. I mean, but I do lean the edge on the Buckeyes because they are playing at Columbus.
Yes.
And that place will be rocking. And plus, I got a question for you. What do you think of Lee Corso, this being his last game day ever?
I love it because his first game day was at Ohio State, and he put that Buckeye head on, and he better put that Buckeye head on again.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm thinking Dorian. I mean, it's like, I love how it all got started.
Yes.
Thanks to Kirk Herbstreit and his wife Allison.
Yes.
And it's like, I
love it.
Yeah. And it's like the rest is history. I mean, Lee Corso put on Brutus, and it's like the head, and it's for you folks who don't know, Buckeye is a nut.
It is. It's a killer nut. You know, it's poisonous. It's like when we are the Buckeyes. We are killer nuts. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you put it on, it's like the rest is history. Yes. I hope you get a chance to see Lee Corso on Saturday, Doreen.
Yes, I know. Well, I hope so. Who knows? It's going to be so packed. I'm going to be there at butt crack of dawn. My call time's at 7 a.m. So.
Oh, wow.
I believe it.
Jeez.
Yes. And also, I was going to say, Matt, you must love our quarterback because guess what? Alabama was going to have him as your quarterback. And so your coach decided to leave. So he's like, okay, his second place was Ohio State. So here we are.
But yeah, exactly. And I mean, it was a sad day a couple years ago when Nick Saban left. And I mean, we all know why he left. It's a shame because he had a lot. Well, you got that right. The NIL and the transfer portal. Yes. That's why he left. Because if it wouldn't have been for that, because honestly, let's get real. Who wants to coach someone who's going to just be there a year and done, and they're in it for the money? Okay,
now they're just same thing. Yep.
Yeah, and now they're just in it for the money. Okay, Saban wanted to really coach them and had them grow within themselves, more than just within the sport. He wanted them to grow personally in their personal life. And he just didn't want to see them one and done. And he didn't want to try to have to re-recruit his own players, which is absurd, so
agreed.
but yeah, I mean, I just I hope you guys do very well this season. And talking more about Corso, what has he meant to the game of college football?
I don't know. Yeah, has he picked? I mean, he hasn't always picked the winners.
When he hasn't.
That's the thing. I'm like, just because he might put, he might put a horn on. I don't know. What would he put if he wanted to pick Texas? What would he put on his head?
He put on Bevo.
Well, he put on Bevo.
Oh, I don't even know. See, not terrible.
Sure.
I don't even know.
Chris, can I bring in our next guest?
Yeah, you want me to bring him in? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So Doreen, as you know, Big Noon Kickoff is gonna be in Columbus on Saturday. Well, joining us, Doreen, now is called. If you want to talk to him, we have the host of Big Noon Kickoff on the phone with us. So, Rob Stone, my good friend, it won't be the same without you on my trip to see the PBA Tour next year. But just talk about being in Columbus, to start the year off for Big Noon Kickoff on Fox.
Can you hear us, Rob?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So talk about this big game coming up on Saturday on Fox. Texas, Ohio State, and I think you've been dying to do this since when you found out it was the first game of the year.
What a great start, right? Like I don't even know if you can think of a better start to a college football campaign the last couple decades, and having 1 versus 3, 2 absolute blue bloods, defending national champion, hype that has been building, since. Frankly, probably since Ohio State beat Texas in the semifinals, and obviously the Buckeyes took care of Notre Dame to win another national title. So this is how you properly start a season. It's kind of very NFL, right? Like the NFL is so smart with their scheduling and how they play games and how they launch seasons. And if you were a college football commissioner, which by the way I think we have, this would be one of those type of games where you'd see.
Yeah. So this is actually the first regular season meeting between Texas and Ohio State since 2006, but they played just last year in the college football playoff. So it's pretty cool that but the last time they played Texas was there. They beat Ohio State in Texas. Texas did when they came to town. So it's basically Ohio State's looking for a rematch and try to win on their home floor.
We'll take a win no matter what it takes. The charm difference between maybe past regular season meetings that might have taken place this early in the season, that obviously there's always a chance for a tie, but there will be a loser, but that loser is not officially eliminated. So and both of these programs too are going to be so much better. Come November, come December, especially Ohio State. They only return their defensive starters.
Love it.
New quarterback, new coordinators, a lot of question marks, even though they may have the best college football player, Jeremiah Smith. A ton of question marks at tailback, at tight end, even at quarterback, linebacker up front. So for me, Ohio State's got a lot to prove, and I think they're number 3 right now because they are the national champs and because of what their brand is. But if I had money, I'm sliding it the Texas way, and what they have and what they're returning and what that ceiling is with Arch Manning now as QB number 1.
Yeah, let's talk about Arch Manning. It's is he the son on Eli or is he Peyton's child? I can't.
No, that he's his he's their they're his uncle.
Uncle. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Cooper is the pop.
Oh, okay. Cooper is okay. I know there's a third Manning, and I think Cooper was a good wide receiver until he got hurt. When he was in college. So okay. So it's Cooper's child. So it's pretty cool that he has his dad's name. Archie. Arch Manning.
Arch.
It's like it sounds like back in the 70s. When you hear his dad going through New Orleans. Be the quarterback for the Saints and all that stuff. So and plus there's a lot of stuff around the world that we hear that Arch might want to go to the NFL because the Saints, if they tank, they might get the number 1 pick.
You know what? How about not the guy who spends a season as a starter before we start talking about that, right?
Right.
He for a while, and that's what I think what's odd about him is that we've been staring at him for 2 years sitting on that sideline and backing up Quinn Ewers. Last season, 233 snaps, 13 total touchdowns, 2 picks, rushed it for 4 touchdowns. So he's got legs as well. But we've just been so accustomed to the Manning name in football conversations for decades, and then the fact that this young man, was 5-star and so highly recruited, and he's been in Austin for a couple years, and we really haven't seen him. I feel like people just kind of are assuming he's going to be some special, fantastic talent.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people out there, and I think he is going to be, but there's a lot of people that would say, well, if he's that good, how did he not beat out Quinn Ewers? Whether it was his freshman year or his sophomore year. So he's got a lot to prove, but I love where his head's at. I obviously, I think we all wish we had his DNA. His last are powerful. His uncles know how to play the game. He's been taught at the highest level, whether that is through family get-togethers, throwing the pigskin around the backyard, or in Austin with Sark. And I love the fact that he has not made a big deal about sitting on the bench. And he has just been, to me, on the outside, an absolute perfect team player. A guy who brings a lot of attention, but he deflects it. He lets his teammates have that spotlight, and now it's his turn to shine and show what he really has. And I think he's going to be a real special talent. I don't know when you're going to see it this season, but you're going to see it. You're going to see it at some point, and maybe you'll see it Saturday against the Buckeyes.
Yeah. Well, Dorian, do you have a question for Rob? Because the Ohio State girl right there. Go ahead.
You know what? I actually focused a lot more on learning about the Longhorns while I was thinking about this, because I don't know what you think about this, but I think they have the defense is their vulnerability for this 2025 season. I think do you agree?
I think I would softly push back on that. They have 7 starters returning on D, which is always nice. Last year,
Okay.
third in FBS, they allowed just a hair over 15 points per game.
Okay.
So those numbers, and that's against quality SEC competition over and over. I think the defense is going to be excellent, but to your point, the Texas conversation, it's always about the offense, right?
Yeah.
And how it's going to go. So I think the defense just naturally ends up getting overlooked. And that Texas defense, boy, I think you're going to be really excited to throw some odd looks and some pressure immediately at Justin Saint, and try to get the first-year Ohio State QB to make some poor decisions, to throw something over the middle early, just to make a bad read. So I like the Texas D this year, and I really like him come Saturday.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about the Ohio State defense? What do you think about them?
Again, the concern for me with the Buckeyes is just so few starters returning on both sides as the ball. Last year they were number 1 in the Big Ten in defense, number 1 in the FBS, allowing under 13 points a game. But boy, they have such great talent out there, across the defensive line. Jack Sawyer, I think, is just a huge loss what that guy brought with his heart and his mentality. But the beauty of Ohio State, and frankly the beauty of Texas and all those blue bloods out there, is they're a program built on stormtroopers, right? So one stormtrooper down, boom, another one magically appears around the corner. So
next man up. Yeah, exactly. Next man up.
Works on both sides of the ball. But I also know how good their recruiting has been through the years and how good they have been managing the transfer portal as of late as well. So I have confidence that D is going to be elite again to that level. I don't think so. And I don't know if you're going to see it week 1 against Texas and Columbus either.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be a fight.
That's true. Matt, you got the final question for Rob, because we got to let him go. So go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, Rob. So, thanks for joining us tonight. And so I want to bring up what you said about 5 minutes ago. How important is it for Arch Manning? Because he could easily have gone to another team, been playing, 2 years ago, because players nowadays do not want to sit on the bench, But how important is it for him to show that to his players and other players throughout college football that, hey, that I can sit on the bench and now I'm going to have my time to shine? How important is that for him to, just show that to college football?
Yeah, I think it's important within that locker room and around that program because there's a lot of other 5-star guys and 4-star guys and a lot of egos running around there, and they know that last name. They know he was a former #1 recruit, and they know that he sat there for 2 years just being a good teammate. What do you need of me? You want me to come in on a couple, situations where I might be running the ball? You got it. I need to fill in as a starter for 2 games because yours is down. You got it. And then when Quinn is back, I step back and I go back to the sideline. His teammates know that, right? They know the pride that he's had to swallow, if you will, to manage those situations. So I think inside that locker room, he is looked at as as a bit of a role model, if you will. But if you go outside of Texas, I don't think anybody cares. People right now they want their playing time and they want their money, right? and those are the most important things sometimes, unfortunately, for too many of these college football athletes these days. Not everybody. And listen, Arch is making plenty of money. Like let's not bury that. His NIL has been really good, but he's done it quietly and calmly, and it's not in your face, and you haven't seen a lot of them. And it's going to be really hard to get any type of access to him for another couple weeks. Those SEC meetings and media days were about the last that anybody's really going to have with Arch for another couple weeks until Sark and company feel like he's in a good position to handle these things. So I think what he's done has been awesome for college football and particularly for Texas. And I would love it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love it if a lot of other 5-star players out there, 5-star QBs out there say, hey, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay learning this playbook and learning under these coaches and learning under this senior starter for a year or even 2, because in the long run, that's going to end up making me better. And my program better.
That is true.
I agree. Well, Rob, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight, buddy. I appreciate it. We'll be watching here in Baltimore, and she'll be in Columbus helping out the concession stand. Doreen will be, and Adam will be watching in North Carolina and all that stuff. So good luck with the season. I hope to see you shortly, maybe in Maryland. Maybe you stop by College Park for a big noon kickoff. Hopefully Maryland can pull one out.
As long as you guys are watching, that's all we ask. Just watch.
Yeah. Well, good luck on Saturday and enjoy that big crowd of people there for Lee Corso and everybody else. So
yes.
Will do. Legends stepping aside. Will do.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, see you. Bye.
Nice.
All right, that's
Rob. He's on Big Noon.
You can now say you've talked with Rob Stone.
That's right. Yeah. He's on Big Noon with Urban and them.
Yeah, Urban and everybody.
Oh, Portnoy.
Yeah. We get big names on our show here. We try.
So thanks to us, Dorian, you talk with Rob Stone.
That's right. So I'll go look for him. I'm sure I'll be able to find him. Right.
And I'll send you. And I'll see if it's okay. I'll send you an email with your email and see if it's okay if he can come on the show. I don't want to give it out. his phone number because
Oh no, of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of rude.
Yeah. Of course. I was like, but I think.
All right. Well, we got to wrap it up here. But Doreen, thanks for coming on tonight.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Saturday, and we'll have you on down the road. Okay.
Yes. Go Bucks.
Well, hey, Dorian, one real quick question. Do you think Ohio State is going to go to the championship game this year?
I would love for them to. I know it's very hard. I'm not one to say, oh, yeah, I'm always going to root for my team, of course. Yeah. I think we'll make it to the playoffs, but I don't know if you guys watched Josh Pate's thing, and he thinks Alabama's going to beat us in the playoffs. So, but who knows, right? I mean, look at that. We lost to Michigan last year, and it catapulted us to the Natty. So you never know.
Exactly.
I would love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
We appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, that's Doreen. She's part of the ladies of college football. So let's move on. Adam, bring this next people on. They're sitting in the bullpen, really ready to go here.
Well, I guess it's now time to talk some. I guess the next game that we're talking about is LSU and Clemson. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah. Yes. So bring in LSU.
Okay, so I guess that's called.
Bring out the props. Bring out the props.
It's called so. It's called Representing LSU. He was in Omaha to see the LSU baseball Tigers win their 8th. Let me get on camera. Yeah, 8th national title. He is someone that I follow on social media, on Twitter, Instagram. He is a legend down there in Baton Rouge. I'm glad I finally get to talk with him. So let's bring in the legend that he is. He is the voice of LSU athletics. Chris Blair is joining us here tonight. Chris?
And also, we got to bring in the next guy in, our good friend Tim Ray, from the radio. He's there with us too.
Timothy
Hi, Tim. Thanks for coming on. I was going to give you a call, but thanks for coming on the video. Appreciate it.
How we doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, doing good. Chris, say hello to Tim. Say hello to Chris. Say hello to Tim.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Tim. No, now you're talking about a real legend and Tim Ray.
No, it's called You're a Legend.
You messed that intro up.
Chris.
Tim's the legend.
Yeah, he is a legend.
Chris,
and
you're
it's
a
funny.
legend because you were in Omaha to see LSU win their 8th national title. Right. But I'm jealous.
Well, that's what Jay Johnson does since he took over.
Well, yeah,
his mission is to get to Omaha and win it.
And Tim, it's funny. You and I have something in common. I'm like a walking encyclopedia of knowledge, just like you are. With sports knowledge. And my brothers call me Gold Crown because I have so many information in my head because I was like, oh, I see that. Okay, I see that. And they're like, where'd you get all this stuff? I was like, well, when you're a kid growing up, you read stuff like this stuff. And you love it. And you did the same thing where at Clemson, you know everything from Clemson and Notre Dame and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool that you know all this knowledge.
I was reading press guides from I have every Notre Dame press guide back to 1964 because my dad was a grad, so I grew up on Notre Dame football, and then I got this job at Clemson, so I've followed both schools.
That's cool. So let's talk about this big battle down, and we got our friend from Mercer softball, Chris Kilmeyer. He's listening to us right now, but he's a big LSU fan. So Chris, let's talk about LSU. Every year it seems like these big games come on the first week. They falter. Last year they went to Vegas. They lost to USC in the last minute. A couple years ago, with Florida State and down in Orlando. What do they have to do to get over this hump in week one?
Well, it has been a long time coming. The last time they won an opening game was way back in 2019, which many people may remember was against my old school, Georgia Southern. So, yeah, it's been a long time coming. No one here is going to let you make excuses in the fact that you didn't have a warm-up game. LSU has had no week zero games. They go right into the fire right out of the gate, and nothing's different this year. I think there's a palpable sense of urgency that really I haven't sensed since way back in January of this year. And, for those of us who are around the football program every day, I think it was really hard to delineate between the end of last year and the beginning of this year. And the clock struck zero in Texas, and LSU got the win over Baylor in the Texas Bowl. And it was immediately after they arrived back in Baton Rouge that the plans were put into place. And obviously there were needs on the roster. There were needs in the coaching staff. There were some changes made there. So, I think when you're around it, I think if somebody were to drop into the football building right now and over the last several months, they would believe that LSU has one game in the 2025 season, and that's on August 30th, right off the banks of Lake Hartwell against Clemson. So, and even Coach Kelly has mentioned it, at the start of fall camp, he typically starts game week the week of the game, but they kind of started early. So fall camp was, shorter than normal, and then they got to game prep, and they have done that since the middle of last week. So I think they certainly know, that they have not won an opening game in 5 seasons. So we'll see. I mean, you got to go out and play. Everything on paper means absolutely nothing until you go out and do it. And as I said, it's not going to be easy. And having spent 5 years working at Clemson, I can certainly understand that's a hostile environment. And LSU knows it. So they've been trying to prepare for it, but nothing prepares you until boot meets ball. So we'll find out on the 30th.
Yeah. Well, Tim, it's funny. I still think the ACC title goes through Clemson no matter what. I feel like that's the top of the hill, even all these teams. And it's funny during the ACC kickoff, Dabo wasn't the star attraction this year. It was Bill Belichick on Thursday. And I think Dabo enjoyed it, because he wasn't getting all pressured here and there and all that stuff. And, what's the feeling like down there in Clemson getting ready for, this fall camp? And looked like Dabo had a great spring. He played the banana ball with the Sonata Bananas. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, we did have the banana ball game at Death Valley back in April, and it was very successful, sold out in in no time, and Dabo actually led the banana ball players down the hill, so he had a lot of fun with that. But really, it's not that big a difference from Clemson to LSU in terms of wanting to get off to a good start. Clemson's lost its last 2 opening games, losing at Duke in 2023, and then losing a neutral site game to last year to Georgia when they were number 1 ranked, and the game was down in Athens. So Clemson's kind of looking to get back on the right track and getting off to a good start. But this is certainly a huge game. It's the first top 10 matchup in Death Valley to open the season since 2013 when Georgia came to town, and what turned out to be a great game, a 38-35 Clemson victory. We've had a lot of top 10 games since then, but not to open the season in Death Valley. It seems like we've been opening on the road for forever. So I know Clemson fans are excited about playing this game at home, and quite frankly, we're looking forward to going to LSU next season. These are the types of games that Clemson fans really get into.
Yeah. Matt, you got a question for Chris or Tim?
Yeah, Chris. With BK, he was in South Bend for a long time, had a lot of issues with winning big games. In LSU, it's the same story. So what does BK have to do in order to win big games?
Well, I would argue that he has won a couple of big games. The Alabama game in 2022, when nobody gave LSU much of a shot, even though they were playing at home, in that overtime victory with Jaden. And, the Ole Miss win last year. I mean, on paper, everybody thought Ole Miss would come in and get a huge win here in Baton Rouge. And again, overtime it took, but nobody remembers that. It's what the final score was, and LSU got the win. But I think a lot of us, forget that when Coach Kelly was here, there were about 35 scholarship players following a disastrous bowl loss to Kansas State. He showed up in December. They let somebody else handle the bowl prep, and then he stepped in January, and it was time to build a roster. They took a lot of portal transfers in the first couple of years, which initially Coach Kelly said, that's not really the way I want to build this program. But they needed bodies. And so one of the things I think this year that's a little different is much like Clemson, there's a key core of players that are returning on both sides of the ball. This time in the transfer portal, I think Coach Kelly and company did a much better job with the ability to do a much better job of finding not just players, but really good players, Power 4 players with experience in big games. So I think that's kind of the sense that most LSU fans have. They certainly do not like missing the college football playoffs, and they certainly did not like missing it when it expanded to 12 teams last year. And everybody knows that's the goal this year, is to get to that, those 12 spots. But you can't fix a problem until you first identify the problem. And I think right now for LSU fans, there is a little bit of optimism because those issues, glaringly defensive deficiencies, were recognized. And then when I think you look at who he's brought in with Jack Pyburn from Florida transferring in, you've got Patrick Payton, who we hope is going to be back to 100% from Florida State. AJ Halsey on the back end from Houston. I mean, they've got some guys who have played meaningful snaps and meaningful games. So I think that's why there's a little bit of optimism, just simply because the work that has been done. As I said earlier, all that's for naught if you go out and you can't perform. And, I give coaches, they take a lot of the blame, deservedly so. They're high paid and it's high risk and high reward. But at the end of the day, it's players that got to go make plays. And I think LSU's roster looks more like a team that can make those plays. When I look at their too deep at all the position groups, whether it's a returning Tiger or whether it's somebody out of the transfer portal, I can relate to, what they have done where they were previously. And I think that's why there is some excitement and a little more optimism than I think probably the rest of the country thinks about, what's happening here at LSU when it comes to football. But again, it all comes down to when you get out there, the lights are on, you're on the road with 83,000 plus in your ear. It's going to be an overwhelming road matchup, as in the past. These have been neutral site games over the last several years. This is a whole different animal here. But I think the work that's been done in the offseason is why everybody's excited to get it started.
But okay, Chris. So just a real quick follow-up question. I know of BK when he was at Notre Dame and also at LSU, and it's like, so what does he have to do to him and his coaching staff so that they end up on the right side with the win and not the loss and not come up short again?
I think number one, it starts defensively. I mean, last year they struggled against dual threat quarterbacks, and guess what? We have in week one, we got a dual threat quarterback. So you can look at the South Carolina game last year before Sellers was injured. You can look at Alabama, who ran up and down LSU's defense. You can look at A&M, the game last year. They just kept the ball away by running the football. LSU's inability to stop it. So I think defensively, that's where it starts. I think they'll be much better at the point of attack on the defensive line. I think they've got superstar linebackers with Wes Weeks, and obviously Harold Perkins Jr. coming back off of injury. And again, I think the secondary is closer to DBU, which LSU has been known for a number of years. Not quite there yet, but I think Corey Raymond has got the tools now on the back end of that defense to take some of the pressure off. But, I think it's all started with, the secondary was much maligned, and in some cases last year, deservedly so. But the fact of the matter is there wasn't a whole lot of pressure, and quarterbacks were able to extend plays. They were able to make players miss with bad tackling and bad angles and the wrong gaps. So, I mean, there's some X's and O's to it. But I think that, again, I think defensively, LSU is going to take leaps and bounds under Blake Baker this year because of the tools he has at his disposal. And then the second thing, I think, is being able to run the football. And that's something LSU has not been able to do efficiently enough and consistently enough since Coach Kelly arrived. They've got two pretty good running backs, Caden Durham in his sophomore year, Caleb Jackson going into his junior year. And then you've got an offensive line where you're replacing two guys that are going to make a pretty good living on Sunday, Monday, and Thursdays in the NFL that they have to replace. But again, there's some transfers that come in. Braylon Moore comes to mind. The Virginia Tech transfers kind of, I think, lifted the entire offensive line just because of solidifying that center position. So when I talk to the offensive coaches, they tell me it's impossible to replace a Will Campbell and an Emory Jones Jr. individually. But as a group, this offensive line, at least through the first part of fall camp and so far in preseason, they feel like is going to be better than what we saw totally last year. So those are the two things. You got to play better defense, and you got to be able to run the ball, whether it's against Clemson, Alabama, or anybody else in the SEC. That's a given. So we'll find out if they can do it on the 30th.
Yeah, and it's called. I want to jump in here. You got LSU and Clemson have two outstanding quarterbacks, and a lot of people are projecting them to get to New York for the Heisman Trophy. So Tim, starting with you, what's your take on how Cade Klubnik is going to do this year at Clemson?
Well, he did improve by leaps and bounds last year. His sophomore year, I believe he was 80th in the country in passing efficiency. He improved into the high 40s last year. But the big thing is he had a 36-6 touchdown to interception ratio. I think he'd like to improve on his yards per attempt this year, but he's going to be hard-pressed to improve just his touchdown to interception ratio, and that was the key why he had a really good season. And he's gotten a lot of attention this year because of the way he finished against Texas. He had a 300-yard passing game in that game, threw 3 touchdown passes against a Texas pass defense that was ranked second in the nation going into that game. So Cade has gotten a lot of attention, as has Nussmeier going into this season. And it's really going to be one of the better matchups we've ever had at Clemson as far as starting quarterbacks. They got to go back to my first trip to Death Valley was in 1977 with Notre Dame, and that was Joe Montana against Steve Fuller. And the Irish won that game. But then many years later, you had Lamar Jackson against Deshaun Watson That's probably the second best one that's come to mind. But this one's going to be right up there with outstanding quarterbacks and guys who are pro prospects.
And a quick preview of Garrett Nussmeier, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I call him the college football unicorn. He's waited his time, and he stayed with LSU, and part of that is because that's what he always wanted to do growing up near the state. But he bought into the development, and he waited his turn. Last year, I thought, showed his maturity a little bit. He's always had confidence, and we knew that the first day he showed up on campus. He feels like he can make any throw and any window. When he'd get those moments in his first couple of years here, either we were up big or he was down big, and it was like, I'm going to go out and make a play. So there was kind of this MO that he was a little wild, a little much of a gunslinger. I thought he did an excellent job last year when called upon. It's his team now. He's the face. He's the quarterback. I thought he did a much better job in decision-making. The problem was, again, with that lack of a running game, he had to win every game with his arm. Now, he's got pretty good receivers once again this year. But Irk Russell, the great coach at Georgia Southern, defensive coach at Georgia, he used to say, when you put the ball in the air, three things can happen, and two of them are not good. So, if you want to take some of that pressure off Garrett, but I think, talking to the coaches, Joe Sloan and Coach Kelly, this year, they're just talking about, they really think he's going to take that step forward. And again, we'll have to wait and see, but there's some, sample size of a guy getting the team, taking over as the starting quarterback, and then in his second year, really taking a giant leap. Joe Burrow comes to mind. Jaden Daniels comes to mind. So that's the optimism that Garrett will do. I just think his decision-making is much better. And, the fact that he's bought into the development, which isn't a huge surprise considering his dad was a great college quarterback, pro quarterback, now coaches quarterbacks with the New Orleans Saints and has done that for a number of years. So, I couldn't be happier for Garrett, and certainly hope things go his way this season. But Tim's right. I mean, you look at the Manning Passing Academy that was held about 45 miles from where I'm sitting right now. I mean, those were the stars: Arch Manning, Cade Klubnik, and Garrett Nussmeier. In fact, I think I was told they were giving away more autographs than Archie, Peyton, or Eli. So that tells you, the focus that'll be on this game with those two quarterbacks taking on each other, leading their teams. And I'm sure, as Tim can tell you, there's going to be a bunch of guys from NFL front offices that are making their way to the upstate of South Carolina to watch those two guys in week number one. But, Garrett will have a ton of weapons around him. He's got 8 legit SEC receivers that could play quite a bit at pretty much any other school. They've got an abundance of riches in receivers. And again, I think it's getting some of that run game to take some pressure off of him. And finally, I'll say Garrett himself is going to be have to run the ball. He just didn't quite pull the trigger when there were opportunities last year. He's aware of that. I don't think he's going to be a dual threat quarterback, but much like Joe Burrow, Joe didn't run a lot, but when he did, it made an impact. And that's kind of what they're asking Garrett to do this year. When the play is there to be made, don't try to do it with your arm. Tuck it, run, get 5-6 yards, set yourself up for second and short, third and short. That way you can expand the playbook. So that's what we hope to see from Garrett right out of the gate.
Exactly. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on tonight, Tim and Chris. Thank you so much for coming on, and enjoy Saturday night. I'll be watching from here in Maryland, and I know Adam will be turning off his phone and not talking to anybody at 8 o'clock.
No, it's called, and let you guys know, it's called, if you live in Louisiana, you can listen to Chris on the LSU Sports Radio Network, and if you're in South Carolina, you can listen to Tim on the Clemson Tigers Radio Network. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Chris Blair, is an honor to talk with you. So, and say hi to Coach Jay Johnson for me when you get a chance, okay?
You got it.
And Adam, you got it with Tim. He has a great Don Munson at the call with him. Those guys.
Yeah, you got the great. Yeah.
And Chris
Don Munson, hi from us on Saturday.
Hey, I tell this story all the time. I worked for Don 5 years, so when LSU fans get mad that I call the games for him, they can blame Don Munson. He's the reason.
Yeah, well, we know Don.
The reason I'm here.
We know Don, so it's like,
yeah, Don's great.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on, and have a happy Labor Day weekend too.
Sounds good. Look forward to seeing you, Chris.
I don't think Tim will mind. Go Tigers.
That's right.
It's called Go Tigers. There.
That's Chris.
That was fun.
The only question is which Tiger will win.
Yeah, no. Well, we're going to talk about another Tiger real quick here. We got the Towson Tigers. They're going to be taking on Norfolk State. Was bringing Coach Shimrick on the phone. Coach, sorry about that. We went a little haywire with the Tigers, but we're talking Tigers here. Tigers. But we got the other Tiger here in Towson getting ready to take on Norfolk State on Thursday. So how's practice so far?
Yeah, practice has been good. Really excited, obviously, to play this game. I think it's going to be a great crowd from what we hear. Michael Vick bringing them in, and they got Stephen A. Smith down there. ESPNU is going to cover the game, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. And this is the first time Towson's been on national TV since I think he took on Maryland back in 2000. I think Maryland and Towson played each other on the Big Ten Network. So I think it's been a long time since Towson's been on.
That was my first year we were on the Big Ten Network, so this will be exciting.
So let's talk about the quarterback for you guys. Who's going to be under center on Thursday night when we tune in on ESPNU? Because I'm going to definitely tune in to watch the game because I'm not making the trip down to Norfolk, but I'm going to be watching it here. Who am I going to look for as quarterback for the Tigers?
Towson? You and I have talked about this. I mean, we've had great competition. We're not going to unveil that going into this game. We obviously got two guys that have started a lot of games for us. We've had great competition, so we're excited to be able to roll this out come Thursday night.
Adam, you have a question for Coach?
Yeah. So first of all, Coach, Chris and I are coming down to the Towson, Maryland game on September 13th. So we look forward to seeing you guys there, in person. So just talk about having your season opener on national television. What does that mean for you as a coach and for the Towson Tigers football team as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for the university and our athletic department and our football program just to get our name out there. People turn on the TV, they're clicking around channels. There'll be other games on, and you'll click on ESPNU and you'll see our logo. I think that's awesome for the university, and that's, it's great for us. And it's also a lot of fun for, the family members that might not be able to make it down. They can see the game on national television. That's pretty cool.
And it's pretty good for you guys because I think next week you take on Morgan, and then the week later you got Maryland on the Big Ten on Peacock. So 2 to 3 weeks out of the first 3 weeks of the season, Towson will be on national TV. I think it's more than the Orioles had on Fox.
True, Chris.
We're excited about that. Excited to get our brand out there. Excited to get our name out there and give people an opportunity to get to know us a little bit.
Yeah. So, Coach, real quick before we let you go, what's the schedule like for you guys? I know with a short week, you're already unprepared. Like, you don't have Thursday. Thursday used to be like a walkthrough, and then Friday you guys travel to the game. Now it's Wednesday you travel for a Thursday night game. So, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow's like a Friday for you, right?
Tomorrow's Thursday. So we started the week on Saturday, and we told the guys, hey, it's Monday. So get used to it. So we had our Wednesday today and got a lot of good work in. Tomorrow we'll come back in a helmet practice on Thursday, get the work in that we need. And then, we'll drive down on Wednesday, which is game week Friday. So, just different days, different approach.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Coach, we'll let you go, but good luck this week. We'll have you on next Tuesday because we're not going to be on Labor Day because we're going to labor for Monday. Yeah, that's the plan.
I look forward to it.
All right, sir. Have a safe trip down to Norfolk and bring home a W.
Thanks, partner.
All right, see you, man. See you. Bye. All right,
hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Before we bring in Alex and Sean, I do have some breaking bowling news that I want to share from our good friend Jeff Riggles.
Okay.
He is seeing multiple reports that longtime PBA Tour host Landmark Lanes in Peoria, Illinois, is ending its bowling operation. So it's called
the True Value Open when I was a kid. Oh.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that. Well, let's get ready to.
Yeah, it's called. We need to talk about this.
Yeah, well, before we do, we got a hype video. So here it is.
Yeah, we have a hype video.
So here it is.
Have been hostilities between these two schools, bad feelings. They feel Miami ran up the score. We thought the hostilities had died, but then an ugly few moments down there on the end zone. We can truthfully say, as we get ready for this game, these two teams still don't like each other.
Behind his back and walking off the field.
It's gonna be a rockin'
my family
night down in the rock in Miami.
Dude, I know somebody in my family would be sitting there waiting for that game. And if he's watching, I will.
It's called.
He's a big Miami fan too.
I know who I'm.
So I know all about this rivalry between Notre Dame and Miami because this is infected into my family's blood.
Yeah, well, I know about this rivalry too.
Yeah, but you know about. And I think Alex knows, Alex from the Lockdown Canes and our good friend Sean Steers from Notre Dame. But we all know about this rivalry. This is a classic early '90s, and I could hear Brent Musburger going, beginning like two teams, two eras about to clash. Number one Miami against number 4 Notre Dame on CBS, but it's on ABC this year. But it should be on CBS. But Sean, I know you've been around this program for a long time. So last year, you guys down in the Orange Bowl playing Penn State and ran into a really difficult Nittany Lions team that basically you guys had a chance to get to the you guys made it to the national championship. I forgot you guys knocked off Penn State, but somehow I just blurred.
I don't think the teams forgot that.
Yeah, I blurred that out. But going back down to South Florida, and the weather might be a problem because there is some kind of low. One of those tropical depressions might form over Cuba, so it might come up in South Florida. It might be a rainy night in Miami. It's not a rainy night in Georgia, not that song, but it's a rainy night in Miami. So, who has the advantage, Sean? Does Notre Dame have the running game in the mud, or does Miami has the guy from North Dakota State who used to run real well up in the snow country of North Dakota?
Well, I mean, it's a season opener for both teams, so I think that there's, because of that, there's going to be a lot of question marks, just to go around for everybody. It does feel like when you've got Jeremiah Love, who's widely regarded as, if not the best running back in the nation, one of the top 2 or 3 running backs in the nation, and you got the offensive line that he's got in front of him, and you got Jadarian Price, in the backfield as well. It does feel like that could be a factor in Notre Dame's favor if it's a predominant running type game.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think about this with Miami with the running game? That's been a big issue for Miami since Mario taken over. Because the running game hasn't been. That's Miami's blood, back in the days with Jimmy Johnson and Butch Davis and all that stuff. And even Larry Coker used to run the ball pretty good up the middle, pounded right up in their face, and then all of a sudden hit the guy down the field for a touchdown and right away 7-0.
I mean, I don't think Sean is wrong. I think, if I look at Notre Dame's running back room, I would probably give them the advantage over anybody in the country, if we're being honest. I think that highly of Love and Price, especially Love. I will say that I think if it does come down to a bad weather type of game, and you never know with South Florida. I mean, I don't know how worried I am about tropical depressions, because the local news channels, they love to scare everybody down here, and like they're always coming right for us until they're not. But at the same time, August in Miami, there's a pretty good chance it might rain. I mean, the very early weather forecast has it at like 60%. So you never know. We'll know once we get closer to game day, but it's a possibility. So obviously I would feel pretty bullish on Notre Dame's running game, but to what you said, Chris, to start things off, I think Miami can do some damage there as well. Both of these teams have a really good offensive line. Miami is no exception to that, especially running on that right side, behind Francis Maui-Noa and Inez Cooper. Maui-Noa could end up being a first-round draft pick next year. And Inez, he plays guard, so he doesn't get the sort of attention that tackles do. But at right guard, I think he's one of the best in the entire country. And, Miami's got a trio of running backs they feel really good about. Mark Fletcher is like the big bruiser at 225, 230. But Jordan Lyle is like the all-purpose speedier guy. And then you mentioned Shamar Brown, who came over from North Dakota State, who's also he's built like a bowling ball, and he's I think that mostly this year Miami's going to face a lot of ACC defenses. I think more highly of Notre Dame's D. So I think throughout the season it's going to come in handy to have three running backs over 200 pounds to really wear down defenses. So I don't know, maybe they can wear down Notre Dame's defense a little bit. I think that'll be more of a factor once they face some of the other defenses they'll face later down the road. But I think both teams could do really well running the ball. I think that there's a lot of other things that I think could very well decide this matchup, and maybe that. I wouldn't say it's a wash, because I'd give Notre Dame at least a slight edge on paper, but I think both these teams can hold their own on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a chance. I think Matt and I got a chance, Sean and Alex, we had a chance a couple of years ago when Miami took on Notre Dame at Notre Dame Stadium. And I still remember this. I was in the end zone with Brad Kaya was driving, and he threw an interception. And I saw the Notre Dame guys going, like, they're all cheering. Ah! And my brother Will is a Miami Hurricane fan. He looks at me and goes, and I still remember that. It's the greatest image in my brain that I just turned around, looked up in the stands because I was on the field, and he was looking at me going, and I'm like, wow. Yeah, and my brother Will's a big diehard Miami guy. He loves Miami since he was a kid, and he started rooting for Miami since they had that, Alex, that Cotton Bowl with these 2,000 penalty yards when they.
Yeah, 1990. That was an all-time classic, and it's funny you say that, because that was the type of game that either made people from all parts of the country. It either made you a Miami fan or it made you despise Miami. Right. It was one or the other.
Yeah, and Sean, you've seen back in the day when Miami and Notre Dame down in the Orange Bowl, and it's before Lou Holtz came to town, and
right.
They ran up the score. And the best thing about Jimmy Johnson said, well, somebody asked him, why did you run up the score? He goes, well, the four-string guy wants to score a touchdown. Well, if they wanted to go down the field, let them score. But that must have been bad blood back in South Bend at that time. Going, how dare they do that to us?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about rivalries, right? Like the more you play, and at some point you're gonna have games like that, regardless of who you're playing. You're gonna have some lopsided games, and you're gonna have fights in the tunnel, and you're gonna have all that different fun stuff. And we've seen a little bit of all that. The only disappointment, I think, is the fact that since they discontinued the series in 1990, it's crazy to think they've only played 4 times since then over the last 30 plus years. And that's kind of what's exciting about getting this game, and the fact that we're going to start to see Notre Dame and Miami kind of play each other a little bit more over the next few years.
I think it's great. When I was a kid growing up with Miami, Notre Dame, Miami, Florida State, Miami, versus everybody, and those games. And Matt, you're a diehard Notre Dame fan, okay? Yes, you like Alabama, but your blood, is Notre Dame. And what does Notre Dame and Miami mean to you?
It's it's the heart of college football, just like Notre Dame and USC. You know, I mean, Notre Dame and USC, big time rivalry game, and yeah, I mean, Miami and Notre Dame. When I hear that game, I'm like, you know, my eyes and ears are fixed to that TV. You know, and I'm rooting on the Irish. You know, and hoping that they pull out a victory because there's I know no love lost between either one of those teams with those players on both sides. I mean, so Sean, talk about the rivalry and what that means, the Notre Dame versus Miami rivalry to the game of college football.
Well, it's odd, and I don't know. Maybe Matt can speak to this a little bit too. Because again, the fact that they haven't played, only 4 times in the last what is this 35 years now since 1990. It was so intense, obviously back then in the day, especially kind of at the peak with Lou Holtz and Jimmy Johnson in that 88 game in the Catholics versus Convicts, and I just watched the 30 for 30 again the other day. As a matter of fact, kind of getting back, into the mood. It's a rivalry that unfortunately has, all but disappeared because of the fact that they haven't played. And, we talked about it recently with all this stuff with USC going on and whether or not USC is going to continue to play Notre Dame going forward. I think that this is kind of a little bit of a warning for people in rivalries across college football, because it's part of what makes college football so great is the rivalries. And, like if USC's not careful, one of the other great rivalries in college football could go away. And we've already seen one all but go away with this Notre Dame Miami thing.
Yeah. And also we were going to see it last weekend with Iowa State and Kansas State. They're going to be discontinuing after 2027 because Big 12 is going to 9 or 10 schedule or some weird schedule, and they're not keeping the big traditional rivalries.
Yeah. And I think they've been playing for over 100 years or something like that.
That's right, Sean.
Yeah.
They have, yeah.
And Alex, you see this too. Like Notre Dame, Miami, plays Florida State every year. And I see them going to the 9-game schedule maybe next year for the ACC. And to me, it's like they better keep Miami and Florida State on the schedule because
they will, Chris. Don't worry.
They have to.
They should.
God gives it of the state of Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always going to. I mean, as long as they're in the same conference, and who knows, in a few years, Florida State might not be, Miami might not be. So whatever happens with the ACC long term, we may have this conversation again in a few years. But as long as they're both in the ACC, that's always going to be an annual thing. I'm a little bit worried with the new scheduling because the SEC is definitely going to 9. The ACC might go to 9, but I'm a little worried that, and this is not an every year thing anymore either, but I'm worried that it's going to be a long time before Miami plays Florida again after this year, because with the SEC going to 9 and Florida, I'm sure is going to keep Florida State on their schedule because that's always been a constant, and they may never play Miami again unless it's a bowl game. So I'm a little worried about that. Yeah. As far as I'll pick up with what Sean was talking about with the old school Notre Dame Miami rivalry. I can say that it definitely means something to Miami's current head coach because Mario Cristobal was a part of that in the earlier years when he was still playing at Miami. That was still an annual rivalry when he got there in the late 80s. So it's something that's definitely not lost on him. I have a feeling like his players is probably the same thing on the Notre Dame side are looking at it as just like a big game. Like they're not looking at it like necessarily, oh, we hate these guys, but it means something to Miami's coach, and it means something to a lot of the former players that I talked to, who played for Miami back in those days, the 80s into 1990. So, I'm sure that Miami's players and Notre Dame's players have heard from some of the alumni over the last couple of weeks. It's like, you better beat those guys.
No, that's right. Trust me, to anyone who actually played in those games, it is definitely, it was a rivalry, still is a rivalry. Kind of the way I've differentiated it is if you have to explain to the people who are playing in it now why it's a rivalry, it's unfortunately not a rivalry anymore.
100%.
But to everyone who was involved in it, it definitely was.
I still think it's a rivalry, no matter if it's.
I think it's a rivalry.
It's a thing. In my
Well,
house.
we're all old enough to remember it, though,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Like
yeah,
that's why.
of course, yeah. I mean, it's like I remember, like, because I remember like 80. I mean, I remember 88, 89, 90, and it's like, one time, I think it was in 1990, Notre Dame at Miami was a primetime game on CBS Sports, and they had Jim Nantz on the call, and I was like, it's like, to me, it will always be a rivalry, always has been, always will be, and it's like they need to find a way to keep this rivalry going for future fans, and fans that aren't even around now. So, so fans nowadays can tell their grandkids, let me tell you about a rivalry that's taken place for a very long time, and this rivalry is like one of the top rivalries in all of college football. So, Sean, I want to ask you a question. Notre Dame's quarterback, CJ Carr, and for you folks who don't know that last name, it may sound familiar to you because CJ Carr's grandfather is legendary Michigan head coach Lloyd Carr. So, Sean, just talk about having CJ Carr go into that hostile environment as a freshman to take on a very good Miami Hurricanes program.
Well, I mean, one, speaking of rivalries, like Notre Dame and Michigan and Lloyd Carr, and maybe the peak of that rivalry was when Lloyd was still coaching and kind of stirring the pot there back in the day. It's been fun to see him up here or down here, I guess, in South Bend the last couple of spring games wearing green and Notre Dame stuff after all that. But I'm sure he'll be down there this weekend wearing some kind of Notre Dame attire. But I mean, to your question, I think that's one of the bigger questions in this game is just first time starting quarterback, as comes from the obvious lineage. But how is he going to respond to that? How is he going to respond to a hostile situation, going up against a live defense and pressures and all those things for the first time? He is very cerebral. He is, wise beyond his years. I think because of, how he was brought up with his grandfather being who he is, and his dad played quarterback for Lloyd as well at the University of Michigan. So, that's been passed down, and you can see it in the way that he plays the game. Like he's for a redshirt freshman, in practices, he'll go to the line of scrimmage and make checks and he'll audible at the line, and he does a lot of that stuff. So he's very sharp, and you can tell just by the way he sees the field. Again, he's beyond what a typical, I think, probably redshirt freshman would be. But there's no doubt, like, going into this kind of environment and doing it for the first time is the biggest question. Now, one thing that helps, I'm not saying it's going to be a huge advantage, it at least helps. Like when Notre Dame went to Texas A&M last year to open up the season, in that environment, they took CJ Carr along with them. So like he didn't actually, get on the field, but he was at least exposed to that kind of, big time night, environment and all that kind of thing. And he was obviously, on the travel roster during the playoffs and, got to experience some of those kind of environments and things like that as well. That'll only go so far because, again, it's once you get on the field, it's a different thing. But there's no doubt how he handles that is going to go a long way, I think, toward determining the outcome of Sunday's game.
Okay. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and it was great to talk Notre Dame and Miami because it's deeply.
Well, hey, Chris, do we have time for one more question?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Finish it up, bud.
Sean, just one last question to you. With what does Notre Dame have to do this year? Because I know that they made the national championship game last year, but and the quarterback improved, but the quarterback situation has to substantially improve, I think, this year in order for them to at least get into the playoffs. So what are some key things that the Irish have to do this year in order to get into the playoffs and possibly go to another national championship game?
Well, win some more. I mean, that'll go a long way. I mean, look, they got all the way to the national championship game with a guy in Riley Leonard who, had a lot of experience, but had a hard time getting the ball downfield. And I think that that's going to, be something that they feel like CJ Carr is going to be able to do, is legitimately work all three levels of the offense with his passing game, with the wide receiving core that they've got. They brought in a couple of transfers, Malachi Fields from Virginia and Will Pauling from Wisconsin. And you couple that, if the passing game is able to improve that way and becomes, much more, downfield like they think that it can with Carr, and you couple in Love and Price, who we talked about before, with the running game, that'll go a long way. They feel really good about the defense. I think the secondary is going to be one of the best in the nation. This secondary that they've got, like going back to those days of the Notre Dame Miami rivalry, the depth, the athleticism, the skill they've got in that room might be the best that they've had since those Lou Holtz days of the late 80s and early 90s.
Right. Exactly. It's going to be great. It's finally college football is going to be here, so it's good. So I appreciate you guys coming on tonight, and hopefully you enjoy the game on Sunday night football down there in Miami, and hopefully it will be a great time. And I know our good friend Sean McDonough is going to be doing the broadcast for ESPN, so it's good to see that guy. He's a really well-known broadcaster, does a great job, and we had him on the show a couple times. So nice. Good luck to him. And Sean, thanks for coming on. Alex, great to see you down at the ACC kickoff. I'm sorry I didn't catch up with you. I saw you were on.
Yeah, I'm sorry as well. It was so crazy there. I saw you guys. I didn't get a chance to chat with you.
I thought I saw you, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, we'll catch up. We'll catch up. But
I remember when you walked by. I think I was at. I think we were recording a show. Me and Kenton from Locked On ACC.
Yes.
Yeah, we were recording an episode. I remember waving to you.
Yeah. Yes, you did. Yeah.
That's cool. All right, buddy. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on and enjoy.
Take care, guys.
Enjoy the rest.
Guys.
See y'all later.
Later. All right.
This has been like an all-star show.
Yeah, it is. Hold on. Let me try to get this thing off. What in the heck is on here?
There's Josh from.
Yeah, there's Josh.
Alabama.
Yep, there's Josh, and then let's bring in TJ. Let's bring in TJ here. Sorry, we're having a little. The YouTube, the old StreamYard is having a little issues here, TJ. I don't know why. But
it's called.
Thanks for coming on, bud. How you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Not bad, Josh.
We need a win, TJ, after what happened last year, don't you think?
Just need more than 2 this season.
Yeah. And Joshua, thanks for coming on tonight. Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about this big game. Another big game, Saturday afternoon, 3:30 on ABC between Alabama, number 8 Alabama, taking on FSU. So TJ, we were talking about this all spring long, and Mike, but we were down there for the ACC kickoff, and Adam and I still think he was preaching to the choir and acting like a preacher man, at the podium. It was pretty loud for Mike Novell normally. But what you take from the ACC kickoff, I feel like, I think he's ready to turn the page, and we're going to try hopefully see this on Saturday afternoon. It might be a whole new Florida State team.
Yeah, I mean, it will certainly be a whole new team. I think they added 51 players between the portal and their recruiting class. Where they have 2 new coordinators and new wide receiver coach, new O-line coach, new safeties coach, new linebacker. So yeah, they've got like 6 new coaches too. It'll be a brand new team. I think if there's one thing Florida State and Alabama fans can agree on, it is turning the page on last year. I don't think Bama was super thrilled with how their year went. And I certainly don't think FSU fans were either. So yeah, 2 new quarterback for both teams, new coach, new offensive coordinators, so like you've got a lot of newness coming in, and I think both fan bases, both teams are ready to see it happen.
Josh, what do you think with Alabama coming in after last year having a loss to Michigan in the Outback Bowl? It's still the Outback Bowl. I'm sorry, I don't call it by the different name. I like my free bloomin' onion. Come on, bring it back, please. Bring it back. Yes. Come on, bring it back. But anyway, so what does Alabama got to do this year to not have a repeat of that last year at the end of the year?
Well, as far as avoiding the repeat, for last year, Alabama was real simple. They lost 4 games. They turned the ball over 10 times. Against Oklahoma and Michigan, 2 worst games of the year, turned the ball over 6 times. Football's a pretty simple game. Turnovers matter a lot. Penalties matter a lot. They were just about dead last in the SEC in penalties. Where a lot of Alabama fans saw slippage in this team was just, and it's probably to be expected. Saban left. There was definitely a little bit of a slip. It's a little bit of a slip in discipline, culture, that sort of thing. It's off season. It was the off season, the spring or the preseason, should we say? It's obviously optimism season, and the coaches are all saying the right things now. DeBoer has actually alluded to the fact that last year with the one-way 30-day portal that they had to sort of just keep the team together. And then this offseason, they basically told people this is how we're doing it, either stick it out or leave type of thing. So like I said, we'll see what it looks like. But a lot has been said about discipline. A lot has been said about culture. A lot has been said about the difficult offseason program that they put them through to make sure they instill some of that. So we'll see. It's like I said, it's optimism season right now, but we'll see on Saturdays, right?
Yeah. Well, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Our TJ, our quarterback from Boston College, started to do something that we don't really do here at Florida State, is start running his mouth. So Alabama heard it. That's now part of their billboard into their locker room. So I feel like Thomas. I feel like Tom. If you want to, I want to see what you bring to me on Saturday. Come on, if you are confident of beating Alabama, let's do it. Just don't talk about it. Just do it. That's why I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, most Florida State fans kind of were the same way, right? They're like, hey, man, and not that, I mean, I don't really believe in like karma. I also don't know that, Bama needed much more juice to get out. Like, are you going to try harder on a 4th and short now because he said something in July? I think Bama was going to go 100% in this game anyway. So, I don't know if I buy so much of that, but it does seem like every time somebody tries something like this, I think about the USC walkout a few years ago, and then Bama beats them by $2 billion. So, yeah, I mean, you just know that, that doesn't work out often, especially with Alabama. If this was Michigan or Oklahoma, or you wanted but doing this with Bama. But then as we've gotten farther along, I've started to think, you know what? This is all entertainment. I know we live and die with this stuff, and it's oh no, here are the 18 to 22 year olds going to affect my mental health for the next week. But at the end of the day, this is all entertainment. And I'm not saying I want every player in the country to do this, because then it takes away from how special it is in the few moments that Pavio or Castellanos or somebody says something. But it's entertainment. You're supposed to be entertained. And listen, for better or worse, it was entertaining when he did it. It'll be entertaining if he can back it up. And if he can't back it up, that'll be entertaining too. So now that we're this far away from it, I don't really care. It's not a big deal. You're right. It's put up or shut up, right? If you think they can't stop you, which I have my doubts, but if you think that they can't stop you, then go out and show us, right? And prove me wrong, prove every FSU fan wrong, prove Bama wrong, prove everybody you named wrong. It's time to put up or shut up. So we finally arrived at the week, and he credit to him, he didn't walk it back. He doubled down on it, tripled down on it a few times. He's got more confidence than I would against that defensive line. So props to him. So maybe it's blind ignorance or something, but hey man, hats off to you. And if you can figure out a way to actually back it up, then maybe we'll build you a statue. I don't know.
Well, TJ, I want to ask you before Adam asks you, when did you first heard that? When I first heard that, I'm like, whoa, we're not Miami, dude. Miami does all that yapping before the season starts. And I was like, okay, what are we doing here? We're 2-10 last year. We don't look like we had enough. We don't have a lot of real estate to brag and tell who we are.
Yeah, when I first heard it, what I really thought it was the same thing Norvell was doing when he was preaching from the podium, right? I have been to so many Norvell press conferences, seen him so many times, and I've never seen that before, right? So I thought Castellanos was trying to do the same thing, instill a lot of confidence in his team. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if Norvell's Sunday morning sermon at ACC kickoff is going to work or not. But I think that what they're trying to do is rally their team. Listen, they're a 13.5. They're a 2-touchdown dog at home against a team that I have going to the college football playoff. I think they all know that the odds are stacked against them. And so what's the worst thing that happens? You come out and you lose anyway. But if you instill just a little bit more confidence in your players, if you instill a little bit more confidence in your fan base and your donor support, I don't know. Does that help you win a game? I'm not really sure. But I think that if it can help just a little bit, great. If not, you were going to lose anyway, right? Maybe you lose by an extra touchdown because DeBoer doesn't take the players. I mean, who cares? So that's what I think Castellanos was trying to do. That's what I think Norvell was trying to do from the podium. And if that was the intent, then great. If they had some kind of other ill intentions, then whatever, man. Like I honestly don't see it having too big of an impact on the game. I think they lose either way. So maybe I'm not a great fan for saying that, but I just think he's trying to rile the troops up a little bit.
Oh yeah. All right, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, so I will say this. Alabama, so Josh, we know Alabama's quarterback is going to be Ty Simpson, starting versus Florida State. So what are your expectations from Ty Simpson this year as Alabama's starting quarterback?
Well, I think personally, it's funny. Again, quarterback is the hardest position to predict, to project. I mean, until you see the guy play, you don't know what you've got. I will say that, and this is like God's honest truth, back when they were recruiting him, Alabama was also recruiting Arch for the next class. And in our site, every one of us looking at the film, the Elite 11, we all thought that they were at worst equals. I mean, we really did, just in terms of looking at the high school and looking at what they did talent-wise. Obviously, Ty, you're talking about a guy, he's going into his 4th year. His dad is a head football coach at UT Martin. Now, he's grown up in a football family. Bright kid, got all the tools, much better athlete than people think he is. It seems that a lot of people, we won't give the reasons why, but a lot of people assume he's a pocket passer. He's very much not a pocket passer. He's a 4.6, 4.7 speed guy. He's gotten loose a couple times. Matter of fact, in one of the cupcake games last year, he got loose and ran a 70-yard touchdown, but dropped the ball at the 2 years ago. Dropped the ball at the 1, saving back, killed him. But as far as what I expect from him, I think he's going to be pretty good as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. Like I said, that was really the big thing last year. You know, Milroe was a very volatile and still is a very volatile player. He fumbled the ball 3 times in the preseason game the other day. He's a guy that's going to rip off an 80-yard touchdown. He's going to throw a dime to Ryan Williams, beat Georgia with that 75-yard touchdown, and then he's going to turn the ball over 3 times against Michigan, right? That's just kind of the player he was. I think with Ty, what we hope to get from him is just a lot more steadiness, make all of the right reads, make all the right plays. Kalen DeBoer has said that he can remember 1 interception that's been thrown the entire camp. Now, that might be bad for the defense, right? But they've been really coaching this kid on take care of the football. So we'll see. I do think that if Florida State has a chance to pull the upset, that I feel like it's pretty much a one-way path for them, and that is Ty just sort of choking because his first start is at Tallahassee, right? No. I mean, that's a pretty tough first gig, right? To be in that kind of hostile crowd. I'm actually shocked. I was thinking about going down there. I don't like the ticket price. I can't believe you guys are keeping it at $250, $300 on the secondary market. I didn't think, coming off a 2-10 season, I didn't think that the enthusiasm would be that. I expected to be, based on that, a pretty raucous crowd down there. So obviously we'll see, because he's going to have more pressure on him than he's ever had. But we hope to get just steady play from him. And if he does what I think he can do, then we'll be in good shape.
Mm-hmm. I think Matt's out there in radio land. I hear his voice. Matt, what do you expect of this game on Saturday at 3:30 down there in Tallahassee?
Well, I think it's going to be one heck of a game. I do not think that it's going to be a 2-touchdown win by either team. I think it's going to be much closer than what the experts are saying. So my question is for Joshua. So with Kalen DeBoer having one season prior to the legendary the GOAT Nick Saban retiring, how would you rate his performance from a 1 to a 10? Well, Kalen DeBoer's performance, 1 to a 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, and also, what does the Alabama team have to do this year better in order to improve?
Good question. So I would say, when you lose 4 games in Alabama, you can't get a real high score, right? I mean, that's just the expectations at Alabama are bigger than that. Right. Being that it's his first year, though, and understanding, again, the dynamic, this ridiculous transfer portal situation that absolutely needs to be fixed, the 30-day one-way thing, I mean, that's just insanity to me. The spring portal is just around the corner. Not sure why they can't just wait 2 months and give the new coaching staff a chance. That's my opinion. But as far as what he did, I'd probably give him a 7 because they held it together pretty well. I mean, instead I think that if you go back and look, I mean, this was obviously the year that Alabama had fewer players drafted into the NFL than typical. I think it was 7 that went this year. It was not the upperclassmen, talent-laden roster that we had been accustomed to. I think we actually are closer to that this year. I think next draft's going to be a little bit different. So I would probably give him a 7. As far as what Alabama needs to do, I think it really does just boil down to just discipline and execution. I mean, you go back and look at it. I mean, obviously the Vanderbilt game, I mean, geez, obviously the defense gave up a 72%, I think it was, on 3rd and 4th down. Probably something unsustainable, kind of fluky, but they also helped with an interception and a turnover, right? A pick 6 early in the game. Alabama helped the opponents out a lot last year, and they helped out with penalties, a whole bunch of penalties, terrible. So I think if they can just be more disciplined, the talent on this roster is undeniable. I mean, so when you look at the blue chip ratio, the number of 5 stars, there is enough talent to win a national championship. But again, they have to be more disciplined than they were last year.
Albert.
That's true. All right, guys. So before we let you guys go, what is TJ? What is one thing you want to see on Saturday? 'Cause I asked the girls and Johnny Mack on Saturday. What is one thing you want to see from Florida State on Saturdays? We're going to make you very happy by Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the easy answer is a win, but, taking that off the board, right, and just going with that. Florida State suffered from a lack of effort last year. Pretty bad, pretty piss poor. Even really in that first game in the States, right, against that BC team, which they had no business being on the same field as them. Their effort was pretty poor. You could tell things were not going the way they expected. They retained a lot of guys and kind of caved to some threats of like, oh, I'm going to put my name in the portal. And so we upped some pay, and some of your leaders that you brought back just didn't really give the effort that I think they should have. I think they could tell like, hey, we're about to go 0-2 in the ACC, and week 1's not even over, right? Because there was a Monday night game coming too. So I think they quit early in the year. And I think this is a really good Bama team. Again, I've got them in the college football playoff, and then I haven't really thought of like matchups or how that ends up working out. But I mean, Bama would be a significant favorite against all but like 6 or 7 teams in the entire country. And so Florida State might be much improved this year, and they still might go out and lose by 10 or 14 points or more just because Bama is that good. And I don't want to see, listen, you can not control lining up and the other guy across the field just being better than you. And in all reality, that is what's going to happen on Saturday. Now, does that mean Bama's a sure thing winner? No, absolutely not. Football's weird and dumb stuff happens. But I do think the effort is important. And if Florida State hangs their head in the third quarter because they're down by 14, we're going to see a 14-point game turn into a 30-point game. And that just can't happen in week 1, right? You've got to show some kind of semblance of like, hey, we're going to stay with this. We're going to keep fighting, even if it means we're just going to cut it to 7 at the end of the game, or we're going to cut it to 10, or we're going to keep it at 14. So I think effort is huge in this one. Yeah, of course, easy answer. I want to see a win. But outside of that, I think they really do have to play like they actually care to be there, even if things aren't going their way. There's a lot of winnable games on this schedule, but you can't let this Bama loss, if that's what it ends up being, you can't let that turn into, all right, wheels are coming off for the rest of the year again, like it did last year.
Right. And Joshua, what is one thing you want to see from Alabama that might be, we want, we're pulling for Florida State, but for you, what do you want to see on Saturday for Alabama going to make you happy Sunday morning?
Well, I think the number one thing, and I think a lot of Alabama fans, again, because we've got a certain history with this, but Alabama has a chance this year based on the players that came back and made the decisions to come back. Alabama has a chance to have a truly dominant defense, dominating defense. As a matter of fact, to give you an idea, the kid Zabian Brown, who played phenomenally as a true freshman, there's a 5-star kid named Dijon Lee that apparently has won a job on the outside and pushed him inside to what you guys would call the star position, the nickelback spot. The secondary, the safeties are both upperclassmen, both great players. LT Overton came back. We've got the big thing's going to be the pass rush, but I think that what Alabama fans would really love to see is the quarterback not have to do a whole lot. You know, that's the way it used to be in Alabama, right? I mean, the defense, you know, they weren't going to give up more than 10, 17 points. So, you know, hit me a couple explosive plays, run the football, and we're going to win by 14. And I think Alabama fans would love to see Alabama win that kind of game rather than trying to outscore people.
Right. Exactly. Well, TJ and Joshua, thanks for joining us. And folks, if you want to tune in Saturday after the Bama Florida State game, Adam and I will be with Johnny Mack and Priscilla Proctor, and Danielle Kelly will recap that game, because those two will be at the game. Johnny and Danielle will be at the game, and Priscilla will be armchair quarterback like myself and Adam. We'll do our thing. So TJ and Joshua, thanks for coming on, big guy. You guys, thanks for coming on. Enjoy Saturday afternoon. I'll be home after 2 hours doing my uncle thing with my niece. I have to do that 2 hour thing before the game starts, so I have to do it.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
All right. That is TJ Pitzinger, and also Joshua Chartman from Roll Bama Tide Roll. So anyway, another plug here for tomorrow. Join us after the game on Saturday. We'll right here on Herb FM Sports Radio. Before we
bring in our last guest.
Before we let's talk about what we're going to have next week on the program. Let me play a little clip of this. We got to go back to the Wayback File for this one. Let me see. This is back in the day when there was a team here in Baltimore called the Colts. I never heard of them.
No, I never heard of them either.
I know. I probably email from people who probably from Baltimore.
Oh, Chris, you bring up bad memories for people.
No, well, here's the thing. This is a good memory. This team in 1974 was 2-10, but in 1975 they started the season 0-4, and they made it all the way to the AFC title game, losing to I think the Miami Dolphins. But here's a classic clip of Chuck Thompson and Vince Bagley doing the call back in 1975 on the radio, and we'll talk about this in a minute.
Beat the New England Patriots and become the championship team.
Waiting for Jones' takeaway. He rolls to his right naked and now looks, fires downfield. Chester to the 5. Chester scores! Jones rolled to his right, took his time, laid it on the money to the big guy, Chester. He caught it at the 5, and you just knew they couldn't stop him, that he was going to just pull his way in, and Chester...
Cool.
So next week on the show on September 2nd, we'll have Jim Chaleski will be joining us. He played for New England Patriots, but he was on the 75 Colts team. They're honoring them here in Baltimore on the week that you're here in town, Adam. They're going to have a big. They're going to have a big shindig downtown. The Ravens are going to do honor them at the halftime, and the 75 Colts, I guess, are going to put them in the Ring of Honor. Finally, after so many years, but so he will be joining us on the show on September 2nd. We'll be on at our normal at 7:30 on the Tuesday after Labor Day. Yep. And then program note on September 8th, we'll have former New York Met great Wally Backman joining us here on the show. And then when you get back on the September 15th, we got to do our show early, because the Ravens and Lions are going to play on Monday Night Football, and we'll hopefully coach from Pitt, Pat Nannuzzi, joining us.
Really? Coach Nannuzzi is going to join us.
Yeah, we're working on it. I'm working on it right now. And the former Navy coach, Ken Montatello, who is now he's at San Jose State. They'll be getting done playing Texas, so we'll get him on the show as well. So. Yes. Before we bring our next guest, I got some stuff. I want to wish somebody a happy.
It's called. We have friends that tied the knot, and and they're on their way to Sweden.
Yeah. So let me bring in the picture. I have the picture of I think the
Rihanna. Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is actually, I think I grabbed this off the Twitter page from the PBA Tour, but.
There's Kyle and Jesper Svensson.
Look, it's so cute there. Kyle.
Look at Kyle and Jesper Svensson.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's called
little babies. Yeah,
anyway. It's called Chris. You had Tom Clark that was there.
Yes.
Tim Mack. He he was actually he actually was the preacher, to give Kyle Mariano away. Charlie Mitchell from Bayside Bowl was there. You had Angie Vi and Chris. You had Angie Vi and Chris Vi. So you had a lot of people from the PBA Tour that were there, and they're all. And I know that Kyle Troop and Brandon Troop and a lot of others are on their way to Sweden to either that or they're now to compete in the last event of the year, the Storm Lucky Lesson Masters.
Yes.
And you can go to YouTube, search Storm Lucky Lesson Masters, and watch all the action. Because I believe Dave Ryan and Randy Peterson are going to be there, to call the action.
Yes, and I talked to Dave Ryan last week because I was wondering if he was doing the Hawaii game. And he said, nope, I'm not doing it, but I'm going over to Sweden. So we'll try to get him, we'll get Dave Ryan on when he gets home from Sweden and talk about about that event. Little news and notes around here before we bring our next guest, our final guest. This guy in 1970, Elton John made his U.S. debut, kicking off his 17-day tour at the Troubadour in Los Angeles. And some guy named Neil Diamond introduced him to the crowd. So, and you're wondering, how do I knew that? Because I know everything about Neil Diamond. And I want to say shout out to ESPN. They did a nice feature on Sweet Caroline over the weekend.
They did.
That was very nice. It brought a little tear to my eye because I'm such a Neil Diamond fan since I was a kid.
Yeah, you are.
Played Country Granola Suite and we
can listen to Neil Diamond when I come to your house on.
Oh yes, we'll put it in. I have it in my CD player in my car.
Fine, we can listen. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know that.
Before we bring our next guest, on this date in 1984, this guy, the doctor, was making a house call, for the New York Mets. Let me play a little clip real quick.
To win 20 games. Simply put, every time Gooden pitched, everyone stopped to watch.
Yes, Dwight Gooden became the youngest pitcher to win 20 games. He was 20 years old, 9 months and 9 days when he won today in 1985. And speaking of the current Mets, we were battling the hated Phillies up there in New York. And let me see what the update is. Update desk here. Hold on a second. Let me bring up the Mets just taking the lead at the end of 5 innings, 4-3 over the Phillies. And before we bring our next, I got to play this. This is some hatred because this is how I hate Philadelphia. So sorry, Jared. I just don't like your team. So, a little clip.
Alvarado found the strike zone at the ends, and he's yelling at Dominic Smith. Oh, he threw his glove away. The benches are going to clear. Alvarado's being held back by Alec Bohm. Alvarado better be careful.
All right.
It's called. I am pulling for the New York Mets in this series, since you know about my history with the Mets. So.
I know, but we know Bill O'Neill. So, Bill, if you're watching, the guys.
Sorry, Bill. I'll see you next year, sometime.
Yes, we'll talk to Bill on the show. It's 9:05. Let's bring in our last guest.
Yeah, it's called. We have covered so many games here on the show tonight, but on Labor Day night, there's a national game featuring some coach that I guess is an amateur coach. I don't know if you ever heard of him. His name is Bill Belichick. Well, he opens up the season this season for the Tar Heels, and they have to face a team from the Big 12 that is quite good in the TCU Horned Frogs. So we're joined now by the radio sideline reporter for the TCU Horned Frogs, Elvis Gallegos, is joining us. So Elvis, thanks so much for joining us tonight. and just talk about TCU going to Chapel Hill to take on a team, led by a legend in Bill Belichick.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, guys, for having me on. Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, the Frogs are making this a yearly thing of opening up with big time coaches, head coaches. You remember Coach Deion, Coach Prime and Deion Sanders a few years ago, and now the talk about Belichick. And so I think it's great for the Big 12. I think it's great for TCU. Unfortunately, the Frogs, the last few years under Sonny Dykes don't have the best starts, a little bit slower starts. Obviously at Colorado, even last year at Stanford, it wasn't the cleanest game. But especially with the turnover at North Carolina, it's going to be interesting to see how the Frogs hopefully they get off to a good start. You got to think that place is going to be electric. So it's supposed to be sold out and a lot of eyeballs on that ball game. So, man, I sure am hoping the Frogs start faster than they have these last few years under Sonny Dykes.
Yeah, Elvis, I was doing some stats. Bill Belichick is 0-2 in his debut with his new teams.
Man, I love Chris. I'm going to use that. I hope you.
Yeah.
If I can, I'm glad you said that.
His first game with the Browns was 1991.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Now let me bring up the clip. I have a clip of this. Hold on a second here. I did some research yesterday. So here's the game when he was with the Browns, 1991 against the Cowboys and Troy Aikman. Yeah, this is courtesy of ESPN prime time with Chris Berman. Yeah, yeah, but Robin Roberts was helping him at this time. I'm like that's odd. Yeah, the lady from Good Morning America was doing this with him. On ESPN. So so that's the first loss, and then you have to go back to the year 2000 when he was with the Patriots, and he lost to Tampa Bay at home. So this is a home. So he doesn't do well at home for his first game with the team. So it might be luck for TCU on the one, and you could use this for your broadcast. And if you want to give it to to Brian, Brian needs to know this because it's pretty interesting. Yeah. Did some research on this, but it's fascinating that he's 0-2, but after that he becomes, a great quarterback. But this is college, coach. This is college. Yeah. And we saw him down at the ACC kickoff, and Elvis, it looked like Taylor Swift and her entourage coming through. Yeah. It was so funny. And here's the funny story: I was in the restroom. This is a true story. I was in the restroom and in the other stall, and all of a sudden he was next to me. Okay, I didn't even know he was in the bathroom. So I hear him on the phone going, "Do you want me to take care of this problem?" I'm like sitting there going, what? What the heck is going on here? And I get out of the bathroom and the stall, and I'm washing my hands, and he comes out, and he's like, his shirt's like this, and I'm like, hey, hi, Coach Belichick. He's like, hi, how you doing? I'm like, whoa. I'm like, he must have had a problem, but he was very nice. I didn't get a chance to ask him during the 2000. I think the whole state of North Carolina was down in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could run for governor in North Carolina right now, and he'd probably win. But
that's true.
But they're paying him a lot more than the governor. But yeah, no doubt.
I asked him off the mic, and he was a nice guy to talk to. I asked him about one of his friends who one of the coaches for North Carolina lacrosse, Dave Petramala, and I asked him, like, what do you think? What do you think about that? How cool to have him as a friend. He goes, he's a cool guy. I just talked to him the other day. That's what he told me. It's like, I'm like, cool. So that was my interaction with him, and I wish I recorded it, but I
could totally see that. I mean, I could totally see the guy just, down to earth. I mean, he's a big time coach, right? I mean, he's just a ball coach. It's always been no nonsense in his program. Right. I think you've always heard like his thing is just do your job, right? He doesn't micromanage people. He's not flashy, looking for attention. The guy he's a genius and he knows how to win. So I'm excited to just cover the game. You know what I'm saying? For a big time name like him. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool it's also cool for the HCC. And we just had the Clemson Tim Bernay on, and I said it's pretty cool this time around. Dabo wasn't the main attraction at the ACC kickoff because every time, he comes in, it looked like Elvis entered the building because everybody wanted to talk to him. But now this time around, he was like, "Just let Bill do it. I don't care." Yeah, like have a good day.
Yeah. Elvis is called. They had a rope around the podium, which he could talk to all the media, and there were there were platforms for the TV cameras. I mean,
yeah,
and they had actually someone they had the associate ACC commissioner and someone from North Carolina there, pointing people to ask questions, and it was like you thought you were in Hollywood, and it was like
yeah.
I was like, whoa! I was like, and
yeah,
and Chris can agree with me. He was actually there at 9 a.m. that Thursday, and he didn't go on until 2 p.m. So
Right.
it was like he was there like all day long. I think he had a press conference with just North Carolina Tar Heel media before that, and it was like he went up there. I was like, I mean, I'm originally from New England, so it's I mean, just to see him, it was like I see a legend, and it's like someone is like, holy, you know what I mean? And it's like, just to be in the same room as him, I'm thinking like, am I a cloud guy? It's called. Do I have to mention myself? But Elvis, let's talk about TCU for a second. TCU is obviously in the Big 12, and we know how competitive of a conference Big 12 is. So, what are you looking forward to this year for TCU in a very competitive Big 12 conference?
Yeah, Adam, it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, there's no doubt this league, week to week, it's a ton of fun. You look at last year, right? Nobody saw Arizona State coming. So how cool is that a league that a team has finished dead last ends up winning it and probably it was right there, almost beat Texas in that playoff game, right? So you look at I think it's a week-to-week league, and you got to look at the schedule. I mean, last year I think things got away from – they lost a couple of tough ones at home too. Those were really tough losses. They end up having a great season, but I think everybody remembers a tough loss against SMU, who ended up being a good team, obviously playoff team, UCF and Houston. Those were bad losses for TCU, and Coach Dykes has not tippy-toed around it. He said, the expectations are higher here in Fort Worth. Expectations. You look at the recruiting, you look at the facilities, you look at the guys coming back. I think he's got a great coaching staff. Expectations are to be in the Big 12 championship and win Big 12 championships. And so I love those expectations as a former player. I mean, that's what you want, that kind of leadership. What I'm most excited about, look, I got to say is I'm a big Josh Hoover fan. The quarterback that we have is really good. And I know a lot of the attention has been on, teams trying to get him to jump into the portal. Obviously, Tennessee was the biggest name, trying to throw a ton of money at him. And he stayed true. He was, I think, the first guy that Sonny Dykes got committed to his class when he came over from SMU. So there's a lot of loyalty here for him. But what I see in Josh, and you guys may want to talk a little bit more about his game, is he's a legit leader. Guys follow him. I think that's one thing that goes overlooked a lot at the quarterback position. You can talk all day about size and speed and measurables and arm talent and all that, but if guys don't follow, if you don't elevate other people's game around you, it's going to be hard to be an elite quarterback. We saw it firsthand, with Max Duggan a few years ago when he led the TCU team to the national championship. The guy willed his team there, and guys elevated their play. And then you saw years after that, we struggled. And it was that leadership. And I mean, not to call out the guy that followed him, but the players didn't follow that individual quarterback. And so I'm talking about Chandler Morris at the time. It just didn't stick. It didn't go well. Josh has that. He elevates guys around him. And so for me, there's a lot that we can discuss here about his game and this team. And I'm a defensive guy, so I love talking defense. But, man, watching the trigger man, Josh Hoover, it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
And I will say this, Chris and Elvis, the last 5 years in the Big 12 Conference, there have been 5 different winners going back to when Oklahoma and Texas were in the conference. So, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, it's like you mentioned Arizona State last year, Elvis, and I was like, no, I didn't see that coming. And this year they didn't even have Big 12 preseason poll at media day, and it's like, I think this year you guys could stun. I mean, you look at Kansas State, you look at Arizona State, Colorado. I mean, folks, the Big 12 is going to be a conference that you definitely want to watch. And it's sad after this year, Elvis. I believe that this is the last year that the Iron Skillet rivalry is going to take place for a while. So, what's your take on this year being the last year of the Iron Skillet rivalry?
Well, I mean, it stinks. You know, it stinks because we're so close to each other. Obviously, they're in Dallas. We're in Fort Worth. And SMU's got a great recruiting class. I mean, they're putting a ton of money into that facility, into that program. Rhett Lashley's done a great job. Scott Simon's a friend of mine, the defensive coordinator. He's a good defensive coordinator. So you got the offensive mind, defense playing really tough. That's what I thought separated them last year. They're recruiting. I mean, they're crushing it. And so when you think about when you're this close, you ought to be able to play year after year. There's so much history and tradition between the two. Obviously, a lot of dislike against each other. So, man, the stadiums are packed. I remember last year, you know, Sonny Dykes got ejected in that game. And I'm roaming the sidelines, and those SMU fans are eating me alive. And I love that. I mean, this is what college football is all about. So I'm glad we're hosting them at home. And I hate that the rivalry is going away. But who knows? I'm sure with the rise of SMU and the ACC, and if TCU continues to elevate, I think there's going to be opportunities. Hopefully there's opportunities where they continue to bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a big night there on Monday because you got ESPN doing a 1 hour pregame show from Chapel Hill and they got Nick Saban going to be there. So you guarantee Nick is going to be, all over his old buddy, his old coach, And to me, I would have loved to see Nick Saban at the ACC kickoff because it would be cool to see those two talk again. Because they are best buds, and there's a documentary of him on HBO about how those two are interact with each other and all that stuff. And I think it's great for Nick to see his bud in college. And I thought it would have been weird to see Nick be one of his coaches again. That would have been funny. To see back in the old days of the Cleveland Browns. Let's just bring Cleveland to Chapel Hill. That would have been cool.
Yeah. How about that? Probably the greatest college football coach and the greatest NFL coach of all time right there. Like, man, I'm definitely going to be there as early as I can. I'm going to try to get as close as I can because I'm a fan of the game. As big as a diehard TCU fan I am, I'm a fan of the game, and I'm a huge Nick Saban fan, obviously Belichick as well. So just I coach for a long time, still coach, and I'm just like, man, I'm in awe to think of just those two guys being in the same room.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yep.
And we just talked to Matt Barr from ESPN a couple weeks ago, Adam, when he was in Baltimore for the that 50-50 thing, and he's going to be doing the whole hosting it along with, and it's funny, you got Teddy Bruschi going to be there. Little Patriots went on there. Desmond Howard, who basically beat him in the. I think Desmond Howard actually took a kickoff back against Patriots. Did he do it? Cool, right?
He did.
Yeah. And then you got Pat McAfee, who basically I think Pat doesn't really like Bill, but Bill beat him pretty times in Indianapolis. So but it's going to be a great night, and it's Labor Day night, and it's great to be a different team on Labor Day night because every year was Florida State against Boston College or Florida State against Miami, and nothing against my Knowles, but it's good to see somebody different on Labor Day night instead of the same old repeat.
It is, and I'm glad that I think that's exactly how they should do it. I mean, Bill Belichick coming to college football has stole all the headlines. And it's like, that's where they need to be. I'm glad TCU gets to be a part of it. And how about this? TCU and North Carolina open up in Dublin next year.
Yeah, next year they play in Ireland to start the year. And it's like, fun. It's like, I hope you get a chance to make the trip to Dublin next year.
I will.
I mean, I saw pictures online from people, Iowa State fans and Kansas State fans. It was like it seemed like they were having a good time in Dublin, and it's like one year it's called you never know. I mean,
yeah.
But I enjoyed Farmageddon on Saturday, and it was coincidentally it was 24-21 Iowa State, and last year when Florida State played Georgia Tech in Dublin, the score was 24-21.
Oh man!
Georgia Tech. So
are you predicting a score for next year?
I go higher.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like card sharks. Yeah, Elvis is like card sharks. Yeah, a higher or lower, higher.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Well, I hope you have a great broadcast on Monday night. We'll try to tune in. Adam and I will watch the game on Monday, and we'll recap it on Tuesday night on our program. But we want to wish you and the broadcast team a great Labor Day, and don't kidnap Bill Belichick before the game. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I could, I would, but no, I want to see a good one. This is going to be. I'm excited. Thanks for having me on. I really do think. I hope Belichick the best too. By the way, I hope he does really well. It's good for college football, just not on Monday night with our Frogs coming into town. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We should have a good team this year.
It was great to see what kind of defense he got, because he's known as a defensive coordinator with Bill Parcells, and I found out something, Adam. Bill Parcells was a Seminole back in the 70s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was on Bill Peterson's coaching staff.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty funny stuff.
Yeah, and it's called.
And it was over the weekend. I'm like, he's a Seminole? Are you serious? And I met Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells a couple of years ago at the Hall of Fame, and he looked at me. He goes, "You're from New York, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from New York." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "You know about my Giants?" I'm like, "Oh, yes, I do." Yeah, because I grew up watching you guys when I was a kid. I have a Phil Simms jersey still in my closet, because that was the Giants when I was a kid growing up. It was Giants and Mets. And the Jets are still trying to figure out how to replace Joe Namath. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Elvis,
sad.
I can say as a resident of North Carolina, we want to welcome you and the entire TCU Horned Frogs to a wonderful state. Enjoy your fully enjoy your stay here in the Tar Heel State.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, hey, I'm looking forward to that. Actually, my family and I are getting up there a few days ery, so we're really going to take it in and enjoy it. So we've heard it's awesome.
It's like this on the broadcast. I'm not moving.
It won't be much roaming the sidelines. It won't be just more like
you might need a golf cart. You might need a golf cart.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Elvis.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Can you see him wearing a golf cart?
Folks, this has been an absolute blast to be part of. So, Chris, thanks again. It's called Chris. I thought you were supposed to be here.
Well, I don't know what happened to him. He told me he couldn't come on. I said, dude, we're allowed to have more. We're allowed to have 10 guests on our program at a time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll come. He'll come on soon.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get him on. He was working. He was doing something at his casino thing, but we'll get him on another time. But
we will.
Yeah. But anyway, let's see here. Let's do our picks here real quick. Let's go with the. Speaking of picks, did you see this? The YouTube TV might have a problem with Fox on.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Having a content dispute. So if you're YouTube TV, who I have YouTube TV, you better get the crap done, because I want to watch my football.
Yeah, because I want to watch Texas Ohio State on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
Either that, or I'll find a way to watch it on my computer.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. The reason why we played Dave Matthews' version of "You Can Call Me Out," this song was written by Paul Simon and came out on this date in 1986.
Yep.
So, and then also we're doing housekeeping here. This song actually came out on this day. Eric Clapton's Unplugged. And this song was...
I love Eric Clapton.
Yeah. And What a sad song. Also, let's finish this up here. This song was actually released on this day. This is actually from somebody's third album.
I bet you I know which one it is.
Here on our program tonight.
Yes,
Yes. Birthdays today. Elvis Costello was born on this day, but his name is Deacon Patrick Aloysius McManus.
Yes.
Stick to Elvis Costello, thank you. And Tim Burton, the director, is 67 years old today.
Nice.
Yes. So okay. We'll be here next Tuesday night because we'll be laboring on Monday.
Yes, we will. Yeah. It's got. I'm actually off work.
Me too.
On Monday, so it's like
I'm off for 3 days because I'm off Saturday because it's Sophia's birthday.
I know.
So I don't have to worry about working.
And the Red Sox beat the Baltimore Orioles tonight at Camden Yards.
Yeah. So let's bring this out of here. Hold on
here. And we want to thank all of our guests for coming on tonight. We want to thank my good friend Doreen Moore from Ladies College Football.
I enjoyed having her on. She knows her.
Oh yeah. It's called. We'll get her back on.
We'll get her on for. It's sad that Maryland doesn't play Ohio State this year.
Yeah, I know. It's sad.
I know, terrible. But we'll still get her on. We'll get her on for Penn State and Ohio State.
Oh yeah. And it's like we want to thank Rob Stone and TJ Pittenger and Josh Chapman, Elvis Gallegos. We want to thank Chris Blair and Timothy Beret, Coach Chris Kohlmeyer. I mean, it was an all-star. Yeah. I mean, it was an all-star show.
Everybody came together at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be on the show next Tuesday night at 7:30. We'll recap that Towson Norfolk game with Coach Schimrick. So God bless Towson on their quest to derail Michael Vick's first game as a college coach. That'll be cool on Thursday night. That was on ESPN. That's on ESPNU if you watch it. And it'll be let me pull this up. Do I still have this on here? Yes. It'll be Thursday night at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Tigers taking on the Spartans of North Dakota State, and also we'll be on Saturday after the Alabama Florida State game with our panels of fine journalists, Johnny Mack and Priscilla Proctor, the daughter of Bill Proctor, the late. He's still here. Bill's still here.
Yeah, and we'll get people on from Alabama as well. It's called.
We'll get and Danielle Kelly, Johnny and Danielle will be at the game.
At the game, yes.
Their observation afterwards. So we'll leave you tonight with the final song. This song was actually on the album of Bruce Springsteen's "Born to Run," and we were born to run to get out of here. So we'll see you all next Tuesday night.
Enjoy week 1, everybody. Thanks so much for coming.
College football is back. Enjoy.
College football is back. Yes, it is.
Drops on the city bed, Scooter searching for his groove. Seemed like the whole was walking pretty and you can't
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
It's